Welcome everybody to our first in-room. Everybody mute your mics, mute your speakers. All of our ghost hunters are here. We've got a whole team behind us that are going to be wandering the House of the Temple. We've got some ghost hunting equipment, and we have this is our third annual ghost hunt. See when I say everybody mute your mics and speakers. And joining me is we've got all Freemasons behind us. We've got Brother John, we've got Senate, we've got Chris and Steve, and we have Norm back there. Everybody make sure your speakers are muted too, please. And we have the lovely Elizabeth Sizemore, who basically tricked her into staying here this evening to do the ghost hunt. So
if they scare me, I'm leaving.
Elizabeth is it's important that she's here because you literally have grown up in this building. Yeah, you know, your granddad is watching, who is Admiral Gene Sizemore, who, I mean, just a legend in Freemasonry, and especially in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry and in this building. So he's home watching. So Admiral, thank you for tuning in. We're going to take good care of her. She might get a little scared, but and we've got the guys who are going to kind of scatter. So you guys head to where your posts are going to be. We're going to hang out and talk a little bit. John, you stay for a minute, and everybody else find a post, and we'll talk about some of the other cameras that we have up here. And we are monitoring the chat. Elizabeth's going to be monitoring the chat while we're talking in here. So I already see Brother Benjamin and Patrick and Dean and Gary and Paul. So thank you guys. I'm going to kind of give you a little tour of the building, and then we'll talk about each of these rooms. And Elizabeth, you've had some creepy experiences here in the House of the Temple. And John has been the head of our tour guides for a while, and he was a tour guide for a long time, so he knows every inch of the building as well. So we're going to get some info from him. But first, let's check out some of the different rooms and places that we have, so we know what we're doing. First of all, I guess I should say I'm Maynard Edwards, 33rd degree. Welcome to the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry channel. Happy Halloween. We are live on 16th Street in Washington, D.C. at the House of the Temple. If you're a Mason, this is a bucket list place to come and hang out. And so let's take a look at a few of the spaces. The first one is this is our hot zone, I think. So last year, this is the Grand Commander's quarter. So as we look down that hallway there on the right-hand side, on my right-hand side, what you see is that darkness that leads to the Grand Commander's office, and that is where Grand Commander James D. Cole, that is his office down there. That's also where your office is.
Yep.
But importantly, John Henry Coles, who was a resident of the building, past Grand Commander, and is interred. Well, in fact, we'll see where he's interred in just a moment or two. He not only was his office, but he lived there. And last year, moving from one side of the room to the other, we saw what looked like a person in the shadows. Yeah, so tell me, you don't think it was John Henry, though?
I think that it was Fred Kleinknecht, Grand Commander Kleinknecht. That was my initial thought, was that it was Mr. Kleinknecht.
And just based on the way he was moving, and it looked more like
where he might be going to the staircase with the spiral staircase that goes to every floor on the left side of the hallway, and the way that he left his office and went to the staircase just made me think it was him.
We also, that in this hallway, we frequently have the smell of pipe tobacco, people hear footsteps, and a couple of years ago, when we did the live stream, we heard doors slamming in this hallway. Now, you can't see the doors. They are kind of along the walls there, but there are doors on either side of that hallway, and we heard them slamming when we know for a fact there was no one in the building. So that is our first hot zone. So let's go to the next one, and the next one is what people think would be sort of a hot zone, and these are the two crypts. And on your right there are that's Brother Matt and Brother Norm walking by. On your right there is Albert Pike, and he was originally buried about a mile up the street in Oak Hill Cemetery. In the late 40s, he was disinterred and put into the wall of the House of the Temple. And then further away is the final resting place of John Henry Coles. And they're both in the wall there. And in the center where you see the poinsettias as we're getting ready for Christmas, I think the photographers were taking some pictures, is what we call the Pillars of Charity. And there's a very nice stained glass window you've probably seen some pictures of. A lot of people report being tripped or getting tripped up in that area of the building. Have you ever run into that?
I have fallen down that staircase before, but it was completely my
I was
fault.
gonna say, is it because of a ghost or is it
It
just
was my
like me,
fault.
you're clumsy? Okay,
No, it was
gotcha.
never there.
That is what I suspected. So that is, but I will be honest, in the several years we've done this, we have not had any issues that we've never caught anything in there. Now there are two more what we call hot spots here. And let's move on to these, and pardon me while I switch. And this one is the Grand Archivist room. Now, the Grand Archivist room is formerly the Burl Ives room. And we have, and you can find it on our channel here. We don't have it this evening because it belongs to Art the Whiz, but it is an EVP. So Art put a recorder in the room and left it sit out overnight. This is back in 2007, and at about 2 o'clock in the morning, when we know, again, no one was in the building, he captured some ghostly voices, and one very clearly says, old memories. This room used to house the Burl Ives collection. So when Burl Ives passed away, Burl Ives, a very famous entertainer in the mid-20th century, he won an Oscar, Grammys, the whole bit. When he passed, a lot of his Masonic possessions came to the House of the Temple and were on display for many, many years. And in that room, where a lot of his things were, it really did sound like Brother Burl was hanging out with us.
It really did.
And you heard it.
I heard it.
And if you know what Burl Ives sounds like, and to most people, he's the voice of the snowman from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that it sounded like him saying old memories. And again, you can find that here on the channel. I encourage you to go look. One last hot spot, and then we'll talk a little bit with Elizabeth, and then we'll talk to John. This is most people think that only one person lived in the building, and that was John Henry Coles. But in fact, a couple of Grand Commanders have lived here. Not Albert Pike. He never lived here, never set foot in this building. He was dead before they even thought about building this place. But this room here was the apartment of a live-in caretaker, and he was here sometime from the 50s on into the early 80s. And this was his room. This is where he lived. And a former historian here, Dr. Heather Calloway, who is still a dear friend of ours and we still work with all the time, she says that more than any other space in the House of the Temple, there are voices and things that get heard in this room, the old caretaker's apartment. So this one is the hot spot. We're hoping to catch some voices and things. Now, we'll talk to you about some of the ghost hunting tools and toys that we have in just a little bit. But first, let's talk to Elizabeth here. So what would you say, having been here literally since you were a little girl, what would you say the most, I don't know, paranormal experience, let's say, you've ever had while you were at the House of the Temple?
Mine was, and I've said this on our podcast before, so maybe if you've heard that episode from last year, the year before, you might have heard this, but it was session, I believe 2015, our centennial celebration. I was the only one in the building. They opened up the building for me to get some supplies for session. This was me and the security guard. The security guard was upstairs. I was walking through the banquet hall downstairs, first floor, and got to the staircase, and the curtains were shut because we were trying to keep in cold air. We didn't have AC back then. And as I was walking through the curtains, they shut behind me, and I heard somebody say, "Hey, what are you doing?" I thought that it was Dean or somebody. I turned around, nobody was there. And then I got upstairs to our security guard and I said, "Who's here? Who's downstairs?" And he said, "Don't you remember we opened the building for you? It's you and me."
So clearly heard voices, clearly heard someone talking to you. There was no one here.
Yeah,
And while we're talking, I'm picking up some of the guys' cameras. They're kind of getting touring through the building here, and going through. And pardon me while I stutter while I'm switching cameras. But now, just last week, or was earlier this week, you said that you had a door stay open for you.
it was a few weeks ago, and I was pushing a cart downstairs in the basement to a,
Shutting down the lights, it looks like.
yeah. I wonder where they are.
I think they're upstairs in the temple room. Yeah.
Oh, then you need to flip the switch. Flip the switch at the bottom.
Leave them dark. That's fine. It's fine. Let them.
There's two big switches at the bottom, flip them. There you go.
Now the temple room lights are on. Okay.
But anyway, so I was going past
Thank you.
to the elevator, and there's a door there that shuts by itself, and I was expecting it to shut on top of me and the cart that I was pulling. So I put my hand up, waiting for the door to shut, and it never came. My cart wasn't touching the door. I wasn't touching the door. So I slowly pulled the cart through the doorway, and then the door shut. So somebody held the door open for me. That's what I'm thinking.
Now, is it possible just somehow or another door got stuck on something?
Absolutely, sure.
And
Yeah.
guys, if you're watching and you have questions, or you've been here and you've had some kind of experience, even I know we have a lot of folks that have visited. Please say hello, and we'll do some shout outs. And again, if you've got questions, and we're sticking with some of the Halloween stuff tonight, so if it's a random Freemason question, we might answer it at another time. But it's been, I have been here steady since 2017, and I've never really had any super creepy experiences. Obviously, we've caught the evidence that we've caught in different places, but I've never really had anything. Now, John, you've been here all hours of the day and night, and John Leonard, who helps manage our tours and was a tour guide himself for a long time. How about you? What about your creepiest House of the Temple experience? And talk kind of loud so the
I would say there was one night, it was an installation for Colonial Lodge where we meet here in the temple. And I opened up the door to look into the Grand Commander's office, and it was pitch black, but I just had the very unnerving feeling that something in the void was staring back at me.
Something's looking at you.
Yeah. And then probably sort of indirectly with Elizabeth, it was actually just a couple months ago at our fellows conference here. We were wrapping up. Everyone had left the building. It was just us. And when I got down there, she yelled at me, "Who's Amanda?"
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I don't know who Amanda is.
I forgot about that.
And you heard someone sort of walking around the
Was calling
sides.
for Amanda.
Yeah, was calling for Amanda, and yeah, there was no one here. The
And it
security
wasn't
guard-
one of the fellows who had gotten locked in with the
Everybody was
ladies?
gone.
Everyone got on the bus to leave,
Everybody
and
was
the
gone.
security guard
Wow.
didn't see anyone, so we just heard someone calling out for Amanda.
Yeah.
It wasn't outside of a window, or because I
No,
know
we were in
debunked.
the banquet room.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so you were nervous. So the
We
banquet
were
room,
surrounded
yeah.
by, rooms.
the banquet room is absolutely, it's in the middle of the building, and there's no windows anywhere near, so that eliminates that. But
And it
That's
was in
crazy.
the middle of the night too. It really was. It was
Yeah.
like 10 or 11.
now, where would you say, if you had to say where the most haunted place in the building is, are you sticking with the corridor, or do you have another spot?
No, I'm sticking with the first floor
Just in general?
around, in general, but mostly around like the rotunda.
So in the middle? The atrium?
No, like where the old Burlap
Oh,
room is,
okay,
et cetera.
got it, so,
Our
okay,
pipe room.
Now I know what you're saying,
museum
okay.
rooms, yeah, but mostly I would also just say generally the first floor.
generally the first floor. Well, I mean, that's where most people are when they hang out, in particular, someone who might be haunting the building, the downstairs are the offices and things, that nobody really lived down there or stayed down there too much, with the exception of the caretaker that lived down there for, a time. And as I said, Dr. Heather Calloway says that hands down was the most active
Yes,
place.
he's always said that.
To me, it's still that Grand Commander's corridor. One of the things that we have is, and I'm going to add this, is that we have put little tiny motion detectors all over the place. So in this hallway, you can't see it because it's not going off. There's a little bitty motion detector. Then it will light up a whole bunch of little colorful lights at the slightest. So if anything passes from the one side to the other in this hallway, it will light up a whole bunch of lights. And we have the same thing down in the room that was the caretaker's room, and it's the same kind of thing where we've got and you can't see it, but on that table there is a little light box. So and I'm gonna have Brother Steve I think he is upstairs in the let's see where Steve is. Steve is, I got a ton of cameras here. So did we lose Steve? Steve, oh, there he is. All right, Steve, if you can hear me, unmute your mic, and you look like you're upstairs in the temple room, which looks good and dark and creepy at this hour. So let's and if you can flip your camera around, so let's talk a little bit about some of the toys we have to talk about. So and the first thing is an EMF detector. So talk a little bit about that for folks who don't watch the Discovery Channel nonstop like we do and know what this is.
Yeah. I'm an avid ghost hunters watcher with my wife. The device that you have there in your hand, Rich, is an EMF detector. So it detects electromagnetic frequencies. Generally speaking, when something like that goes off, there's a presence or an electric force, which we as humans naturally give off, or our aura, if you will, gives off. So sometimes you will be able to get readings with that where there is a spike of sorts or a response where they can reach out and touch it. And I believe you're talking about the cat toys earlier, which they only go off when they're moved or kicked, apparently. So something has to touch it for it to physically light up. So we have those spaced out around, and I think some of them are in front of the static cameras. You may not be able to see them readily, but if they go off, you're going to see those lights. The other thing that I think a couple of the guys have are what's called spirit boxes. A spirit box is a device that runs through the frequencies of like your normal radio channel, but at a high rate of speed. And it essentially plays static, and it's just a constant like jumble static where, gives a spirit or a ghost the ability to kind of pull words from the radio and make them kind of jump out at you when they're talking to you. You could sometimes get little 1-word, 2-word messages from them. I know Rich has got one held up right there, but the device basically is something that gives them a voice to talk. The other thing that I know we have, I think Brother Chris and Brother Sennett have, is a voice recorder. So it's also common to be able to take and do recordings with a voice recorder, because our ears are not as fine-tuned as others, and sometimes you can pick up voices with that. Oftentimes it's good to sit down in a dark room like we are right now and just kind of try and have a conversation out loud, and sometimes people will talk back or spirits will talk back, which I believe is how you've got the old memories recording that you mentioned earlier. So those are just some of the toys we have. We didn't go too deep with our toys this year, but I think that between those and taking some random photos like we've done in the past in the video cameras, we're probably going to hopefully catch something good, and maybe Elizabeth will still come to work on a daily basis.
So for my money, the best thing we can do is hunting ghosts has got to be a little bit like hunting for anything. You have to sit, you have to be quiet, you have to be patient, and you have to wait. Which and it's pretty boring until it's not. So we're going to do our best to try and keep everybody engaged and entertained here a little bit as we go through. But we're going to keep an eye on all of you guys, and I know everybody's listening. If something major jumps off, you hear something, you see something, let me know, and we'll go right to you. But in the meantime, so Steve, you're up at the top of the building right now. You're in the Grand East in the temple room. If you want to do a little panning shot and show everybody, I think Bowers is in there with you.
Yeah, Brother Bowers is here with me. So we found the light switch. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We were able to kind of turn on the lights here. There is a cat toy that we talked about where it lights up down here on the floor. I think, yep, Bowers moved it on top of the altar so we would be able to see it from anywhere in the room. It's kind of creepy in here. It's not great when it's totally dark, so the light kind of helped, but
Yeah, and so we're trying to, you know, the temple for its size and its age is generally very well lit. I mean, our building and grounds team has done a great job of making it so that it's very well lit, even though it's, you know, older lighting fixtures. They look old, but it's, you know, they're all LEDs and all those kinds of things. So what we want to do is we want there to be some light so we can see to get around, but also some darkness to encourage the spirits on the other side of the veil, if you will, to come out and hang out with us. But I honestly have not really ever had any super creepy experience here. The closest I've ever had is actually when my son Griffin was in trouble at school, and so I said, "Well, you're not just going to get to have a day off. You're going to come and work." So I brought him in here to the house of the temple. And we sent him down to the overflow library where it's really dark and creepy. Like we can't get cameras in there because it's just, first of all, it's where the furnace and everything is. It's an ungodly amount of noise. But sent him in there, made him do cleaning, and he had to clean all the books. And he came running into my office. He goes, "Is this place haunted?" And I didn't even look up. I was like, "Yeah, probably. I don't know." And he's like, "I swear something's watching me." I'm like, "I don't know, maybe go back to work." And so that was, you know, his hair was standing on end. And then a little later on, I went down there to get ready to take him to lunch with Joan, the librarian, and he had his headphones in and he was dusting things and he didn't hear us come in. And I tapped him on the shoulder, and man, we had to peel that kid off of the ceiling. It was fantastic. So as a dad, it was great, but it wasn't. That's the closest to a paranormal experience I've had here at the building. But
I trust Griffin's opinion.
oh, that's one of us. Now let me ask you this, Elizabeth. I know your family has been here lots of times, all hours of the day and night. Your dad, Bill Sizemore, is a grand executive director. He does not love being in here by himself
I
at
don't
night.
think either of us do.
Now, what about Gene? What about your granddad?
He never said that
He spent a ton of time here.
he
Like,
didn't like to be here by himself, but I would imagine that he didn't like to be here by himself.
now we have to ask. Now, this could be a state secret, so I might even get in trouble for asking. Grand Commander Cole, who's here, I mean, he travels a ton, but he's still here a ton too. And you're his executive assistant. Can you tell me, does he have what does he think? I know Miss Marianne, I think she might be watching. His lady watches these a lot of times and has fun with us. So, but do you think, what's his feeling about being here, you know, after dark?
He doesn't much participate in the things that I feel about being here after dark. But he also never asked for a key to the building and never wanted a key to the building because he doesn't want to be here by himself.
Understood.
So.
I don't want one either.
Yeah.
And that's just because I don't want anybody calling me on a Saturday and say, "Hey, come in."
There's multiple reasons, yes.
Let's text John for that and make him come in. But
Like John Cobb.
and again, if you've got questions, if you've got a comment, if you've been here, if there's something that has happened, if you've worked here in the building, so say hello to the ghost of Albert Pike if we see him. That's is that Dr. Graham? Yeah, Dr. James Graham, who is the SGIG in Arkansas, and you can see him in our video. Brother Lloyd Gathright. Dr. Graham just said for us to say hi to the ghost of Pike.
Albert will be running around soon, and I hope not.
See, but that's the thing is that, you know, the first year we did this, there was a lot of stuff. Like the building made all kinds of noises at night. I mean, like there were doors slamming, and I don't know that we can see them anywhere on camera here. Maybe we can, and we'll go to some of our other guys in a minute. You know what? Maybe in this shot here, is if you look, you'll see
There's 4 doors in that.
yeah, there's 4 doors in the hallway, but if you look directly at the first thing you see on that hallway, on the left-hand side of the hallway as you're looking at it, that's a panel, and behind it, that's a little door, and it opens At least I think that's one of the little screen doors that opens, and there's, electrical stuff behind there, and it's decorative and it's hidden. But some of them are older and kind of swing free. But the first year we did this, we heard those things literally not just kind of wiggle, but slam like from one spot to another. And we didn't see it on camera, but you could very clearly hear it. And if you work here, you know what that is.
And there's one right behind that
Yeah.
camera.
Directly
Like,
behind it.
directly behind it.
And it's very loud. So that was the thing that we got the most the first year, were sounds. And then last year, the two things that happened were we saw what in the same hallway, what we thought was sort of well, I guess in Ghostbusters they call a full figured apparition. It looked very much like a shadow moving across. I'm skeptical. There's part of me that still suspects it was some sort of light trick, maybe a car driving by. Everybody else thinks I'm nuts, but whatever it was definitely in this hallway. The rest of the building was relatively quiet last year, with the exception of the fact that a lot of our electronic stuff just stopped working randomly. We did the exact same setup. It was run just the same as it is this year, and there was so much trouble. I couldn't get any of the cameras to stay on, and I was running it from home. I had set the cameras up remotely, and so I could still take the kids trick or treating, and then I could do that. But it just, for no real reason, the stuff wouldn't work.
We've had cell phones die down there, especially in the Grand Archivist room, the old Pearl Lives room. Our staff radios always would die in there. They'd always also be a dead spot for radios. If you stay in there too long with your cell phone, your battery will die. So things like that. It's pretty normal.
We're
downstairs.
This year already, randomly about 5 o'clock today, the smoke alarms have started chirping like the batteries are dead. And the backup batteries are dead. Now, the smoke alarms are not that old. They obviously get replaced pretty frequently in here, and they're all wired in, hardwired too. So why one is chirping all of a sudden, don't know. Also, Wi-Fi. The building is wired pretty well with Wi-Fi. You can get onto the staff Wi-Fi almost everywhere. Not now. We can get in it here in the library, in individual offices, but in a lot of the museum spaces where we deliberately have Wi-Fi set up for security cameras and things like that, the Wi-Fi is completely dead. We even had Norm hardwire directly in and drop a Wi-Fi router just outside of one of the rooms to be able to sort of, jump it if we could, and it still just will not connect inside those rooms, which is really strange. And that one's a new one even on me. So, now is that paranormal, or is it that this building is 110 years old? It's tough to say, but it certainly isn't something that happens every day. It started happening this evening as we got here and started setting up cameras. So, I want to go check in with only because he's sitting in pitch black right now. Brother Senate, if you can if you can unmute your mic there for a minute and tell us where in the building you are, if you can hear me.
Yes, Brother Maynard. I'm in the Hall of Recognition right now with Brother Chris.
Okay. Totally.
We are sitting in pitch black.
So, all right, first and foremost, I guess we should talk quieter so as not to scare the ghosts. Tell me have you guys heard or seen anything? Or are you just kind of chilling, waiting for?
We've heard a couple of little minor noises, a couple creaks, a little bit of one or two little odd sounds, but nothing crazy yet.
Gotcha. So, and you guys are just going to chill there for a little bit and see what happens?
Yeah, we're taking some photographs in the dark also, just to see if we pick up anything.
Now, here's what I want. Do you guys have audio recorders with you?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so when you get a second, go ahead and remute your mic and then try, asking some questions of the spirits or what have you. And then we'll come, and if you catch something, ask, is there anybody here? Is anybody wants to communicate? Anybody wants to say hi? That kind of thing. We'll probably send John down a little bit with one of these, you still have the radio thing? Yeah. And try that out too, because that's something cool we want to check out. So, all right, well, I'll check back in with you guys in just a couple of minutes. All right.
Okay.
All right, let's stay. Who else can we talk to? So, Matt is upstairs in the temple room. Brother Bowers is in the temple room with Steve Dineline, and So Matt is the voice of the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, and also helps with Tyler's Place podcast hosting. He's here a lot, and you guys are hanging in the temple room. Anything other than can you hear any creepiness coming from the streets at this hour in Washington, D.C.?
No, we can't hear anything coming from the streets here in DC, although for some strange reason, my flashlight keeps deciding to, hey, there we go, keeps deciding to stop working. And, just to let everybody know, if the organ were working, the ghosts normally hate that. So we could go to the, ScottishRite.org to donate to the organ fund to,
Our development director probably slipped you an extra $5 to be able to drop that plug in there. But absolutely, we are trying to restore the organ, and it is. So, have you guys encountered anything at all in there? Or are you just kind of settling in and trying to find a quiet space to hang?
Well, it's just trying to settle in, find that quiet place. It's still considerably warm up here from an especially warm end of October day. It was 80 degrees here in the district, and the temple room certainly gets warm. When we were back here during the fellows meeting, and all those brothers were in here, it's better than me. I wouldn't want to be in this room in August, that's for sure. It gets pretty warm.
We have Brother John. He says that the temple room needs to be in total darkness.
You know what? When we first came in, it was in total darkness because we couldn't figure out where the lighting switches were when we first walked in. But I'm more than happy. Yeah, I've got no problems with that. Give me 1 second.
All right, let's kill the lights and see.
Those switches.
I mean, see if what happens.
All I can think right now as I hit these switches is Marty Feldman and Young Frankenstein, not the third.
Yeah,
Everything
already it went creepier.
Yeah. It's scary just to do that sometimes.
This is looking out the window.
You see the purple lights.
Yeah.
But we
On the front of the building, there are purple lights.
Brother Stephen we had the voice recorder running, and we were trying to contact Grand Commander Coles, sorry. And
his funeral took place in that room. If you're a member of our Lost Media Archive, which you can help us preserve Masonic media for only $2 a month, you can click down below where you're watching this, and for $2 a month, you can not only help us preserve that stuff, but you can hear it. You can hear his funeral service. They did an audio recording of it back in the 50s, and his memorial service took place right in that room. So he lived and died in the building, and is still here. So.
As a matter of fact, my wife works where he lived and passed.
Right. And Matt's lady is she works in our accounting department there, and I know the accountants are still working, believe it or not. So we were going to go in there because that's where he
we might go in there.
likely passed away, but we don't want to bother Ernest right now. So maybe later when he's done working, we'll check it out. So.
Well, I think the best way to bother Ernest maybe would be to turn off the lights and to see if he sees anything.
He'll just come running out here. So, all right. Well, you guys hang out. If you run into anything, let us know. I'm going to go check in with Norm. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Brother Norm, who, if you're a Master Craftsman student, you've probably encountered Brother Norm. He helps handle all the administration on that, and let's add him there. Norm, where are you? It looks like you're in the atrium.
Yep, set up down here in the atrium. I figured with that smoke detector going crazy today, I figured I'd sit up close by to it, see what we hear.
Now, here's gonna be the challenge, Norm. And I love you, buddy, but you're gonna have to be quiet. I know that's hard for you. You're gonna have to just throttle it back a little bit, okay? Because we don't want to chase the ghost off and be like. So, all right. So you're going to hang tight there. Now you're just outside. It looks like you've got your back to the Grand Commander's office right now.
Correct.
Okay. So in relation to the building, if you walk in the front door, the building is kind of a horseshoe shaped, and this is the back of the building, and the front of the building's here, and the Grand Commander's office is on this side, and then the membership and the Grand Executive Director's office, Elizabeth's dad, is on the other side, and so Norm is kind of facing what is the membership offices, our offices, with his back to that Grand Commander's corridor. And then if you look at that darkened area there past the pillar on Norm's phone, what you see is the staircases leading up to the temple room, and then behind that is the crypts that we have seen before. And we'll take a look at these crypts, and I'm gonna get John to all right, Norm. So you hold down the fort there, and if you run into anything, let us know. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. It's gonna be so hard for him to not talk. He almost can't help himself. So John, the crypts here. So Pike got here late 40s. Tell us, can you give us as a tour guide a little bit of the history of this space that we're looking at, so folks know what it is? And again, if I can just sneak up a little closer, so. And I know people are like, why use Zoom is the easiest way to do all this. We use Zoom for so many things, and to have multiple cameras and check in with people throughout the building, Zoom is the easiest way to do it without wires and stuff. Otherwise, this would be very challenging. So give us the tour guide spiel, if you will, about this space that we're looking at here.
Sure thing. So where the flowers are, you can't see inside, but there is a large stained glass image there of the temple and some of the Scottish Rite symbols. This was originally a light well, where a series of windows would carry the light from the library in here all the way out there. The first major change to it was in 1944, when Pike was entombed on his birthday behind his bus. And then John Henry Coles was then added a decade later. The reason why they're here is mostly because of Coles. He was the Secretary General of the Council when the temple was being built. He was very involved in the process behind it, and then lived here ever since it opened until the day he died. So he wanted to be buried here. He first got permission for Pike to be buried here, sort of went to the family and had him reinterred. That took a specific action of Congress, basically an act of Congress, because back then there was no sort of city
Washington D.C. was
council.
a federally controlled
Yeah.
city.
Yeah, everything needed a congressional charter. So there were two acts of Congress passed so that Pike could be buried here, and then he himself was buried here 10 years later after his death.
So do you think when the building was designed and built, since he was kind of in on all that, you think he had a plan from the get-go? I mean, could he possibly, I got my spot picked out kind of a thing?
He could have sort of the Grand Commander who actually authorized the building itself passed
Richardson.
away in the middle of it. There was another guy, George Moore, who took over. He proved to be kind of unpopular. So eventually he was kind of told to retire, and then Coles took over for him. Coles served for 32 years. And I think for at least part of it, he, for a while, probably planned all that out. Having already lived here, I think he wanted to be buried here.
Yeah, and he was a bachelor. He never married, so didn't have a ton of family. And the Scottish Rite was his family, which is true of a lot of us. And he, but so he started living here in the early 20s. So that means he saw the fraternity through the Great Depression, the Second World War. I mean, and even to the beginnings of the Korean conflict. And so he saw the fraternity through a lot of major growth, but also through a lot of world changes, if you will.
Yes.
And so obviously, that length of time and that period of history, such an influential character, makes sense for him to be there. Why? So it was his idea then to move Pike into that space?
Yes. So originally the plan done by John Russell Pope, the architect of the building, this temple is a replica of the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, sort of the first major mausoleum in ancient history. It's one of the 7 ancient wonders. So really just always having that sort of information in the background. It was his idea. They would have a memorial service for Pike, and usually what the council would do is they would go from the temple all the way over to the cemetery in Georgetown. I guess, one for reasons of, being able to not have to go as far, they would bury him in here. But I think really he wanted to establish that.
that's some past master work right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because they said, you know what, I'm sick of driving or walking this 3/4 of a mile from
Yeah.
here to Oak Hill Cemetery it's straight up our street. And I'm sick of that. Instead of us going all the way up there, just bring him here. That is some past master work right there.
Yeah, but I think he also just wanted to sort of establish a precedent. So, well, if one guy's buried here, you always have on the
put
other
me here
column,
too, right.
someone else.
You can't just bury one guy. We need,
Yeah.
it makes sense. It makes sense. So it's just such an interesting thing. Now, as someone who has been in, all the nooks and crannies and has had to learn all the history and all that stuff, if you had to go and sit and wait for a ghost, where do you go?
I would say, yeah, I mean, that area, I've never gotten much sort of how we've seen in the past. There's not a lot of evidence. I would say kind of right, that staircase going up, I've definitely tripped a couple times. And just that area in general, people have kind of seen things right before you get to the banquet hall.
Yeah, but I'll tell you why
Down there.
I'll tell you why you trip on that staircase. It's because those stairs are not this normal rise over run that you find in a normal. See, if you look at the 3 stairs on the left-hand side, not the ones leading up to the Pillars of Charity, they're in between the 2 busts, but the other one onto the left side of as we're looking at the screen here, those steps are sort of the normal width of steps. These other ones, if you see it, it's kind of protrudes a little bit. It's almost got like a little curve on the front end of it there. Those steps are a little wider, and as humans, we're all trained to walk steps so specifically because they're all pretty much the same, that when you encounter steps, they're like walking up the front steps out front of the building. You have to take these big leapy steps because their steps are super wide, and it's like, okay, do I get up there and take 2 little steps and I think that's why people trip so much on them, because those steps are just an unusual width, if you will, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Does what I'm saying make sense, or does it sound, I mean,
Yeah, it does.
I think that's my theory anyway. I have no concrete proof of that, but but you can just tell looking at them, the steps are not the normal width. So, all right. So where do you go then? Where do you want to go? Because I want to send you I think because you're here so much, the ghosts are cool with you and Elizabeth. So, and I know she's not going to leave this room for love or money. So where do you
I
go?
would say either there, or I feel like a place we haven't tested a lot is in the executive chamber.
All right, you want to go sit in the dark in the
Yeah,
executive chamber?
yeah.
All right, so
Chamber of reflection in there, yeah.
so I'll do this. You go in, head in there, and once you get in there, we'll leave the lights on and we'll do a little tour of the executive chamber. And then we can shut the lights down and we can wait and see what else you settle in for. All right. So meantime, let's check out a few comments here, and I'm gonna check and see. Well, Senate and Chris are still sitting in the dark, and it looks like Steve and Matt are still in the dark upstairs in the temple room. Although Matt just peeked his head out, and let's see here. So I'm gonna bring Steve. I'm bringing you in to. Ooh, what was that? That had to be John.
That was the executive chamber door.
What was that? So you guys are in the hallway there, Steve, just outside of the temple room, and this is the rear rotunda of the building. The Tyler's chair is right there to their right. That says "Know Thyself." I don't know if they can hear me.
It's another spot that we don't get very good signal.
Yeah,
There they go.
I think we got you.
yeah. So give everybody a quick look at the Tyler's chair there. One of my favorite spots in the building. Yeah, it says "Know Thyself," which is written on the walls of the Oracle of Apollo, and can't read the sign. Tyler's chair by the District of Columbia. So our brothers of the Valley of the District of Columbia sponsored that one. So now in the dark in the temple room, different vibe at all, Steve, or still the same kind of thing?
That was kind of the same. We turned the lights out and it just kind of felt a little bit, cooler, I guess you could say, but not anything that would stand out for, somebody's not here with us kind of feeling.
Now, one thing I want to ask Elizabeth is, when the building was constructed, we know there were people who were injured. Do we know of any reports of anyone being killed while the building was being constructed?
I'm not sure about that, actually.
Because there's places where you can get sort of into the interstitial spaces.
Mhm.
It might send Steve and Matt up there towards you, because up there is also where there's some 100-year-old graffiti that's kind of
Someone
cool.
just asked about that too.
What's that?
On the chat, they asked, what about the stairs behind?
What about the
secret
stairs
door?
behind the secret door? All right, we'll talk about maybe sending those guys up there. All right, thanks, Steve. I'm gonna have you mute again because I'm gonna bring John on here. And where is John? Where'd
All
you-
right, we're gonna go to the executive chamber. We can run up there after we step in
All
here
right,
for a
well,
little
John's
bit.
in the executive chamber too. So John, want to bring your camera on, and we'll do a quick tour there. Maybe John can't hear me. So up there, Steve.
Here they are. They're
All right, who's got the best shot here? There's John. Sorry. All right, John, I'm bringing you on camera there. All right,
There
buddy.
you go.
Perfect. So John is in the executive chamber, and this, if you see the Grand Commander's videos, we shoot video in here a lot, and the reason is not because it's the council chamber, it's because it has the best light in the building. It really does,
And it's quiet.
and it's quiet, and then there's electricity on the walls, which a lot of places in the temple do not have electricity. So
Yeah.
it's a big stone building, and it was built when electricity wasn't quite as well used. So, John, give us a quick tour, if you would, of the building or of the room, and give us the tour guide spiel, and then we'll have you shut down the lights, and we'll see what's happening there.
Sure thing. So this is sort of the miniature version of the temple room upstairs. It's for the 33 voting members of the Supreme Council, called SGIGs. So the Grand Commander, the president of the organization of the Scottish Rite, sits up here along with some of the more senior officers. And then you have these other chairs for the regular members. This room has most of the original parts to it from 1915 when we opened, including the original audio system, which are these metal discs with the holes cut in them. There are actually pipes at the podium here that would carry the sound of his voice through the walls, and it would come out at each one. And it also worked in the inverse, so if you're whispering back here, it would travel back up to him. And then the walls in here are plaster paint to look like marble. Kind of helps with the acoustics of the room.
And then just for folks watching who are Masons or who are not Masons and don't understand, generally in a Masonic lodge on the altar, there would be one volume of sacred law. And in most, I'd say 9 out of 10 Masonic lodges, you're going to find the Holy Bible. But if a lodge is populated by men who are Jewish or Muslim or some other faith altogether, they might choose a different volume of sacred law depending on their Grand Lodge. Why do we have 3 on our altar, not in our council chamber, but also upstairs we have 5? So why do we have multiple books of faith, if you will?
Yeah, since we're such a large organization, over 100,000 members, kind of to show the diversity and the variety of religions, because Freemasonry is open to all religions and faiths. You just have to believe in a higher deity. So the 3 largest religions in the southern jurisdiction are Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And then you have these same books upstairs, as well as the Bhagavad Gita for Hinduism, and then the Lotus Sutras for Buddhism.
Yeah, and it's really just so when people come in here on tours that they know that all are welcome. Really is kind of the way that I always look at it. To me, it's a real point of pride is our fraternity that we are open to so many folks. Now that is the sword that the Grand Sword Bearer wears, and the baton that is it the Grand Marshal that's carrying that one, right?
Yeah, the Master of Ceremonies. Yes.
Master of Ceremonies. Thank you. I knew
Sorry.
I said it, and I knew it was wrong when it came out of my mouth.
Me too.
What? But
It's
so
not a session here.
no, right? We're not in session mode. So so why don't you go ahead and let's start and see what the room looks like with no lights on.
Yep.
Everybody has used it with the lights on all the time. So
Dark in there. No
oh,
windows.
real quick, while you're on the outside of the door, before you close it, for folks who don't watch all the videos, show off the door knocker, because that's my favorite thing in the whole building. Which sounds silly, but it's
But
such
it
a
is.
cool piece. So
Yes, I don't
this door
know
knocker
if you
is.
can see the caption.
You can see words, but you can't read it.
Yeah, but basically this door knocker is from the original birthplace of the Scottish Rite, the Shepherd's Tavern in Charleston, South Carolina, and that was done in 1801 when the Scottish Rite was founded. So basically, it's sort of a piece of history from the original start of the Scottish Rite.
Now, I love that because the original door knocker is still used to call the Supreme Council to alert them that there's people there. So, all right, so you are lights now. Let's see. It's pretty dark, so you've got the lights on over the.
Yeah, we can turn off the last one too.
Yeah, what the heck? Let's see what it looks like. That's
Pitch
dark.
darkness.
That is dark. All right. So why don't you spend a couple of minutes and we'll get you to mute your mic and play with that radio thing that you guys have, and then I'll come back to you and you can, once you kind of got the hang of it, you can see if we hear any noises from that.
Sure thing.
Cool. Thanks, man. Let's
Tell
see.
him, yeah, they
So,
are
okay,
motion
so
sensors.
hold on. I think where's Bowers? All right, Matt.
They are motion sensors down there.
So Matt Bowers, it looks like he's down in one of the archive spaces, and we just got a chat message here from him that said it was in all caps. Are the lights down here motion sensitive? So fill us in. What's happening there, Brother Bowers? I'm not certain he can hear us down there. So this is our new archive space that he's checking out now. So
Can you hear me?
now we can hear you. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Brother Norm said that the lights in what was the old workout room just outside of computer services are set to motion. Brother Stephen walked past it and they came on.
Did you?
Yeah, and hey, I mean, I get here at dark in the morning typically, but I don't typically come through that part of the basement. So it was a little strange, but then, once we found out that they're set to motion, hey, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Now, where you are, why don't we give it a little tour? Now, this is something that's not on the tour. Where this is in the basement, there's a lot of construction going on right now because, the House of the Temple is still a working office building, and there's actually a lot of improvements going on. So those of you who are watching the live stream here, you just got a sneak peek of one of our brand newest things. That is a brand new archive space. A lot of our artifacts are going to go in there here soon. So why don't you tell us where you are there, Matt, and give it.
Well, we're in the old ladies' room in the basement, which looks fairly creepy, but it's just a bunch of piles of dirt where it's still a work in progress. Obviously, it's just a big pile of dirt and some pipes. You can't really do much with this room, but it definitely has the creep factor set pretty high.
Yeah. So what about let's kind of take a tour around the basement area there, and then we can find a spot to settle in. Yeah, and
this is
doing actual ghost hunting. We are, but since we're doing this live, we're trying to make it so it's not so dull. So we have other folks who are sitting in dark, quiet spaces in the building. We're kind of checking in with them as they go, and we're manning things from here because I promised Elizabeth that we wouldn't scare her. So
Somebody had to be headquarters.
yeah, so somebody had to be headquarters, and now see that scared me just coming around that corner. So I forgot that was down there. That picture that you can see there for Matt, that was a display in our old philanthropy room in one of our museum spaces. And those are like, it's like a cardboard cutout type of thing. And they're not quite life size, but they're pretty close. And when you came around that corner and I saw that's on the left there, the leftmost guy in the red sweater and bow tie, that is past Grand Commander Ronald A. Seal. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, and then I realized what it was, but it creeped me out at first. You saw me jump.
You did, yeah.
Who's here?
It's okay, it's Mr. Seal.
I know him.
You do.
Now, this is one of the mechanical areas of the building.
Yeah, this is actually this is Ray's workshop.
Oh, okay. I thought you were on. Now I know where you are. All right. One of our building and grounds crew, Brother Ray, he takes good care of the building.
And it's just dark and yeah, it's got a creep factor. Nothing going on. And then make our way. We would make our way through here. Go through this door would take you up a set of stairs and to another elevator. Here's the one basement elevator that takes you up to the atrium.
Now, this space right here, there's a movie, and I forget which movie it is, Ben Affleck,
State of play.
State of Play, and there was a scene filmed in the building right in that space right
That's
there.
that door that held itself open for me that I was talking about.
Okay, hang on. Matt, go back and pan to the right. You're right. There you go. So down there, that door is the one you're talking about that held itself open for you?
Which side is that? Is that the elevator side?
No, that's the
Right.
other side.
It was the passenger elevator side.
So the other way,
Yeah,
the other door, the door that mirrors that. So,
that one, yeah.
so if that's where, now how do we, can we find a quiet or a dark space, or maybe that's a good spot for them to do some EVP stuff?
That rotunda right there. I don't know. That whole hallway.
All right, so why don't you guys hang there a few minutes and
And
like
the
try and get some
staircase.
EVPs
Yeah. The
and see
staircase,
what you
too.
come up with, and we'll check back with you in a couple of minutes, all right?
Sure.
All right, so,
They're testing the door. It does close by itself, you know?
did somebody just take the elevator?
Yeah.
All right, so we're in the, I'll give you a quick tour of this. Should we? All right, I don't want to do this tour, but I'm going to do it anyway. Who votes on the chat that we turn the lights off in the library here?
Not me.
So this is the library, and this over here, that's what
Yes.
it is. That is the staff elevator, and that is where we all come in and out of the building, and it goes to this floor, and it goes to the first floor down, the basement floor rather, where all the guys are right now. We just heard it move, but maybe that was Ernest leaving or something for the night.
Might be, yeah.
Brother Michael Rocco from New York, from the Livingston Library, checking in, and we'll do a little. We're gonna say hi also to Brother Michael Arce. There he is. He is the worshipful master of the lodge that meets up the street in the. And pardon me, Brother Michael, I can't remember the name of your lodge, but you meet inside Alma's Temple, and he's also the host of the Craftsman Online podcast. So thank you for saying hi. Good to hear you. And let's. John, we're going to come to you in just a minute, but I'm going to check back in with Senate and Chris. I believe they're together. So, Senate, if you could unmute your mic and tell us where you guys are and what you're getting up to now.
Brother Maynard, we're still in the hall recognition. Still sitting in the dark. We did some recording and you know,
That hold on, that shot right there is the creepiest one I've seen. So,
here we go.
have you played back any of it to hear anything yet, or nothing? Nothing yet.
We did some about 5 minutes worth. Asked some questions.
Now, did you hear anything, or
What do you
or
think?
have you not reviewed any of it yet?
I didn't hear anything besides creaks and building one.
Creaks and building noises so far.
Gotcha.
And we just had an employee come in and he's walking through the basement and back upstairs right now, so you might have heard him.
Oh, okay. I think I saw him just creep by the Grand Commander's hallway right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. He just texted me and said he got back.
mm. All right. So why don't you guys hang out there for a few more minutes, and then we might want to send you up to outside that Grand Commander's office and try and do some EVP stuff up in there. In the meantime, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna check in with John again and see how he's doing over in the temple room, or not the in the council chamber. Pardon. And then we'll go back down to the. I've been keeping an eye on while John gets his camera on the caretaker's apartment, because this is one, and maybe that's where we'll send. You know what? We'll send Chris and Senate down to that room, because if this is the one where Dr. Calloway has said she's seen the most people or heard the most things and has the most action, maybe that's the room you sit in the dark and you talk a little bit and see if you can't come up with an EVP. And maybe after John's done in the council chamber, we can check that out as well. So, all right. So I just lost John's camera.
We're here. We're just in the dark.
No, I know. I just can't find you. Which
Oh, gotcha.
I got 10 cameras up. There it is. Okay. So in the council chamber, any,
It's so dark.
you don't want to go in there?
No.
So, Bob Weatherford is one of our employees, and Brother Bob, shout out, says, the hallway near the old Grand Archivist's office has always felt creepy to me.
Agree.
So, John, have you felt anything or have you been trying to play with that radio device?
Yeah, Norm and I are in here. You can kind of hear it right now. There's the radio going off. But I have not heard anything. Norm, he said, we were, calling out for Grand Commander Coles. Norm says he heard sort of a thud over by the Grand Commander's chair.
Uh-oh.
But that's about it so far.
Well, can you talk to that device and, I mean, ask, put it to the test here and see if, let's give it a shot.
Sure thing. Grand Commander Coles, can you hear us? Grand Commander?
So now is that thing scanning on its own?
Yeah, we're pressing the buttons for it to scan, but we haven't picked up anything yet on this thing.
And so was he a pipe smoker or he was a pipe smoker, right? Was it pipes or cigars?
Cigars.
Cigars, okay.
It was Pike who was a pipe
Right.
smoker.
So ask John Henry if he's had any good cigars, something he might be
We
into,
should
you
have
know?
brought him this.
Yeah, of course.
Ask him if he wants a cigar.
We could
John Henry, do you want a cigar? Sir? Yeah, I'm hearing, that sounded like something.
It sounded like Maynard. It was Maynard banging on the table.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, you guys keep trying in there for a little bit, and if something happens, just unmute your mic and let us know, and you can
Sure thing.
call out. So, all
Yep.
right. Let's go. Senate, why don't you guys go down to Bauer's office and see if you can't come up with anything in there, because that office is the one where we're supposed to get the most voices, and we need to check for EVPs in that office and also in the old Burl Ives room, which is currently the Grand Archivist collection. So, and later on, we'll send John down there and he can show off a few of the artifacts while we're down there. But so Senate, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Maynard.
So you guys you're in the ballroom right now. This is the Washington Ballroom, which is available for rent. So if you want to have an event at the House of the Temple. So go down to Bauer's office, which we have labeled here as the caretaker's apartment. We have more, that is where a lot of the EVP stuff has. And be careful when you go in the room. You're going to want to mute your mic and you can just be on camera. That's already in there. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. And your speaker too. Don't want there to be so we'll keep an eye out for them. Now, the voices you've heard, we know in the Grand Commander's hallway, but you also last week last month, heard voices, someone speaking. I don't want to say you heard voices and you haven't lost your mind.
No.
You heard someone speaking and you were in the ballroom.
I was in the ballroom and it sounded like they were in the hallways surrounding. It actually was coming from the International Library side, and they were yelling for Amanda. It was a man yelling for Amanda.
So,
Amanda, are you here?
and everybody was gone from the building at that point.
Yeah, we had maybe one or two caterers still moving things downstairs, but they were not near any staircase or room that would have been able to have sound come up. Like the first floor and the basement are pretty removed.
Yeah.
So, and I know that there were no caterers on the first floor when that happened, so they were downstairs.
Yeah, and again, the Pike room is where, or not the Pike room, the Grand Archivist room, the old Burl Ives room, that is where we've caught EVPs in the past. And then on screen here is the old caretaker's apartment. A guy lived here. He was, one of the caretakers of the building, and he lived here. And the room that we're looking at is currently Matt Bauer's office. This is where he produces a lot of the podcasts and things that you hear. This room, now I've never heard a thing in there, and neither has Matt, and he's in there a lot. And when he comes in, it's still dark. It's still the middle of the night. He comes in at like 5 a.m. to avoid the traffic. He's at his desk by like 5 o'clock. Seriously, him and Art DeHoyas, they come in crazy early. And I've never heard anything in there, and neither has he. But the asterisk is that we're both really hard of hearing at this point because we've been in rock and roll bands for the last 30 years. And so
Maybe you're just missing. it.
maybe we're just missing it. Maybe we just can't hear it. So, when they get in there, I'm kind of curious as to, I'm going to shut the lights down and see if they hear anything with the EVPs and things like that, because those are the things I want to check out. So, Norm and John are over in the, see where Senate is. It looks like he's moving around. Oh, there they go. All right. Okay, you guys can you hear me in there, you guys?
Yes.
Good deal. All right. So the light switch is over there by the door. If you guys want to kill the lights now, I'm going to mute the mic in there. So if you want to do some talking or we can leave it on for right now, but, if you guys want to wow, that's pitch black now. That lamp, you can try and turn that lamp on that's over in the corner if you want. Hold on, did you see that?
Yeah, what was that?
Hey, who is nearest? Hey, I'm gonna have you guys, I'm gonna mute that mic for just a minute. Who is nearest to the Grand Archivist, right? Who can get there fastest? Hey, John?
Yes.
Something just happened to the lights in the Grand Archivist room.
Mhm.
If you would, they went on and then off again, and there's nobody in that room. I'm looking where everybody is. Can you go to the Grand Archivist room and maybe that's something happening?
Sure thing.
Hey, Maynard.
Yep. And when you get in there, John, just make sure you mute your mic and your speaker because there's already a camera and a speaker in there. So,
Hey, Maynard.
Yeah.
We're in the Pike room, just opposite of the Grand Archivist room. Didn't hear anything.
You guys didn't hit the light switch or anything? Hold on, where's
Not at all. We walked into the Pike room. It was already,
Two
it was
different
already
light switches. And in that
everything.
room, you've got to go to the other side of the room to turn the lights on.
Yeah, but I mean, but we both of us saw it. It was like sort of out of the corner of our eye.
Yeah.
The lights went off and then back on
No,
again.
they did, for sure.
All right, so let's hit it again, guys. Just be careful of your mics and stuff. I'm gonna leave Chris and send it in there to
Lights are off.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's kill the lights in there and try that radio again. By the way, Elizabeth is vibrating next to me right now.
Oh. Yeah, this room does give me the heebie-jeebies sometimes, especially because half the light switches are by the front entrance, and then the other half are over there. Yeah, but let's try the spirit box.
Yeah, that definitely has to feel
You want to close the door too?
Not really.
Burl, is there anything you want to say, Burl? I heard the words "don't" come from this.
Okay.
Burl, oh man.
Settle down.
Yeah.
Wonder if he's excited for Christmas. The new, more
Yeah. What was your favorite Christmas song, Burl?
He said Rudolph.
That's watch. Yeah.
Our EMF detector.
Yeah.
Hey,
No, we'll stay in here for a little bit and just see.
okay. Hey, Norm, why don't you run up here to the library quick? And I've got this EMF detector, and maybe we can try talking to and it's
Yeah, take that down there.
see.
Sounds good.
The way this has been used is what they do is they'll have you
You
talk to them.
good?
If you're a spirit and you're
Wait,
here.
what? What'd they say?
What'd you guys say?
Sorry, Burl. I didn't want him to close the door all the way.
Oh, you heard something on the radio.
Yeah, I heard the words "don't," which usually is a sign of people not wanting you to be here.
Chris just asked, Chris, go ahead and turn that speaker down on that tablet that we're using as a camera in there. Give that to Norm. Now, the EMF detector, what you can do is you can say, if there's someone here who wants to communicate, reach out, you can touch this device and it will, it will light up or it will make these lights turn colors and let us know that you're here.
Of course.
And Brother Michael, said he saw.
Hey,
something-
Maynard,
Right, yes, sir.
take a look at this thing.
Which thing?
The reader, it's going,
Well, I mean, you gotta let it sit still. When you're moving about, it's gonna be, so head into the room and see if you
Get sit
can.
down and walk away from it.
Yeah, get it, because also your phone is probably gonna trigger it a little bit, so, we're gonna have to, give that a shot, so.
Someone said that they saw something move to the right of the mirror in there, which is, what we can see in the center, I think.
I don't like that. I don't know if you can see it on the shot, but there's also this wooden sort of bust of George Washington.
Right.
And I do remember it used to be in the basement, and there was one time where I was down there in the dark and I nearly smashed my face into it. And it's just a very creepy looking bus looking at us.
Yeah, but that's
yeah,
not a ghost, that's just a clumsy.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
But Norm put the EMF right above Pike's sword. So I guess we'll just keep it there and
Yeah,
report
ask
back.
it a few questions, ask it if it's, because we can see it, there's a little green light in the,
Yeah.
and, just ask the ghost or whatever, if they want to communicate, to touch the little device and see to make the lights turn on.
If there's anyone here, if you want to communicate, you can do it through this device. No, not too much.
Don't me to that yellow.
Again, if you want to make yourself known, now's the time to do it. We're going up to 4 on
Yeah.
there. The red zone.
Really?
Yeah.
It went all the way. It peaked. I don't like that.
It was green in here, totally green.
Yeah, it didn't do, so
Okay.
just mean that when you're talking, ask it, to kind of interact with the device, ask it a yes or a no
Yes or
question,
no.
yeah. If it's a yes, make the light red, ask if it's supposed to ghost of Burl Ives.
Are you happy to be in here? Whoever is in here? That's a green.
Yeah.
Or if you want
If this is the Ghost of Burl Ives, will you go ahead and let us know?
flash red.
It did flash red.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's basically 6 lights on it. There's 2 red, 2 green, and two green, 2 red, and 2 blue. Let me try that again. 2 green, 2 yellow, and 2 red. Talking too fast. And
Yeah, it's
It's
like-
fully lit up.
Yeah.
it was fully lit up?
It's
Yeah,
fully lit
it's-
up,
It's
and we haven't moved.
And it wasn't when you first put it there, right?
Correct.
no, it's going off.
It's really going off right now.
I think we need to send Elizabeth down and check it out.
No.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Come on down, Elizabeth. Yeah, we haven't moved and it's peaked right now.
Yeah, honestly, there's so many different things in here. That
And this is Grand Commander Coles. Touch the mic for us.
it's blinking red.
It's hitting the red, and we have not moved.
So the
Grand
compartment.
Commander, is he downstairs this time?
All right, so, I mean, now ask it a question that it might say no to. I mean, are you, I don't even know, just to tell it to step away from the light and make the lights go off.
Can you make the lights go off, Spirit?
I mean, it's dimmed a little bit.
It's dimmed a little bit.
Well, wait a minute.
We can definitely see them flashing.
It's flashing.
Yeah.
He's trying.
It's okay. Please step away from the device. Let us know you're hearing me. It did go down to 1 light for a minute there.
Yeah, but it's sort of inconclusive.
All right. Are you guys hanging there and see what you can come up with in that room? It looks like there's some, now, hold on, Brother Michael, says that in the mirror there, and I'm assuming you're talking about the same room, Brother Michael, in the mirror there, to try and move the device near that mirror, because he said he saw something in the mirror. Now, obviously mirrors, and we're walking around, the reflection could be coming from anywhere, but.
What's weird is that little ball didn't light up.
Yeah. Yeah, back to green here.
So just a green light.
Yeah, it's on, so I want to make sure that's on.
Did the spirit in this room work here? Or maybe live here? Or have some kind of sentimental objects in here?
Okay, so he says, Michael says he saw something to the right of the mirror, so I guess, I,
Yeah, there's
Right
a
beside
lot of display cases, so I don't know which one it could be.
right,
Yeah. On top of an old plate that was used to print patents. We can maybe find another place for it. We can put it over by Burl's rings.
Ooh.
yeah, we have Burl Ives' ring, and his hands were huge, his finger rings are like that big around, no joke.
Okay, it's right here. If this is Burl, you can make yourself known.
Now look, that lights up over here, was down.
If this is Burl, make yourself known.
If you have questions or comments or anything, please
Oh,
do
it's-
wait a minute.
make use of the chat.
We're getting 4 lights now.
If you are a brother, can you make yourself known?
A governor?
A brother.
Oh, brother.
Oh, up and down to one light on that one.
Yeah.
All right, you guys hang there and see what you come up with. Try, I would say ask it a series of yes or no questions. I'm gonna mute the mic on that camera there.
Sounds good.
And then, if you, just before you guys, if you leave the room, just unmute it so that we can, bring it back on if we need to. All right, I'm gonna go and, Brother Chris Ritchie is down in the, caretaker's apartment, as it were. So, Chris, if you can, hear me, we're gonna add you to this and get you to unmute and see what you guys have come up with down there in that. You're in complete darkness right now, but in this room, we've heard lots of reports of whispers and voices and things from people who are not on camera with us tonight. So what have you guys kind of run into down there yet?
So far, nothing really. We're just sitting here in quiet. We have the recording device on, trying to record stuff. But nothing spooky to report at the moment.
We just lost a camera in the Grand Commander's corridor. Might have to have
Turn it back on.
no. Hey Norm, why don't you go and oh no, it just came back on. What happened? Never mind.
I had to switch devices.
Yeah, no, I know, but we just had the camera in the Grand Commander's corridor go off altogether, and then
Away. Oh, grab the EMF.
so. All right. So they're still running into stuff. Let me check in with, we haven't heard from Steve and Matt in a little bit. Brother Steve, where are you guys currently? Oh, we might have lost him. This is reconnecting the audio. There we go. Hey, Steve, where are you guys currently?
We are in the Albert Pike exhibit.
And so, okay, so the voices we were hearing was Norm outside the door you're at, because they're all on the same floor. You're like glued to this.
Yeah, I am.
So directly in front of me is one of the cat toys. We got that on the ground. Matt and I were just trying to do a EVP and see if we can get anything on it. But nobody's touching the cat toy at the moment.
And those are very sensitive little triggers and tons of lights on them. What is it where we can see on camera? So you can kind of give us a. There it is. So if something, even nudges that,
It would light up just like it is.
Yeah.
I manipulated it so you could see exactly where it was in the frame.
so is that, all right, cool. Is that John there in the, hold on,
We're
there's
in our
some,
hallway.
John and Norm are currently in the, Grand Commander's hallway. Oh, they're trying the EVPs in the Grand Commander's hallway. Yeah, see, the camera that they're on right now, it's frozen. For whatever reason, it's been stable since 5 o'clock. We turned it on at 5 o'clock this afternoon. It's been stable this entire time.
Connected to the Wi-Fi in my office?
It is, yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
And look, it's frozen and just, and the only reason it caught my attention is because that one is dialed in on my daughter's Zoom account. So, you saw.
I could see it her.
Will's
Yeah.
little face pop up when
Yeah.
the camera went dead, and I was like, "What the heck's she doing on here?" And then I remembered what it was. So, all right, we'll keep an eye on those two.
Hey,
Hey,
Maynard. So
Yeah.
the camera, we saw the camera go off again.
Yeah,
It did.
it's frozen
Yeah.
right now.
I think I heard it say no.
Lost John's too. Mhm. So did we just lose it all together? Brother Sean, fraternal greetings from Sheridan Lodge number 260. Chris asks, Brother Chris Ruley, 32nd degree KCCH, often conspirator here on our YouTube channel. He was out trick or treating earlier, and well, with his kids, not just him. It was just Chris out there with his pillowcase. Well, maybe it was. Asked if we have checked out the organ. We haven't yet. They were up there for a little bit ago, but so John and Norm are currently in the Grand Commander's corridor, which last year we caught what we think of as a sort of a full body apparition in that area. And then we just had a camera issue in there.
Yeah, it's been going on and on.
When you guys left the Grand Archivist room, did you leave the lights off?
The what?
The lights in the Grand Archivist room, you leave them off?
Yeah.
Yeah, I swear I just saw them flash again. And they're off currently. I'm gonna keep that camera up for a little bit and see if anything happens. So what John was just walking past there was the other camera. Yeah, you can see it there. It's basically a tablet on a stand. It works pretty great for these purposes actually. And where Norm is standing right now on camera there is where we ran into the full body apparition last year. And if you're just joining us, we are inside the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C. This is the home of the ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, and this is one of the most historic and truly jewels in the whole Masonic family in terms of buildings. And we've had lots of reports of various things going bump in the night, if you will, here in this building. It's 100 years old. We have 2 people interred in the walls. People have died here, at least 2 that we know of. One was John Henry Coles, and the other was an unfortunate mugger who was running from the police. And this is maybe 20 years ago, running from the police. Out front, we have 2 large sphinxes that are decorative, and it looks like they're only a few feet off of the ground. Well, they aren't. If you jump over them, they lead to a dry moat that's 30 feet deep. So, we lost John again.
Hey, Maynard.
Yes, sir.
Hey, this camera went off again. I don't know if you can see the screen. It's got here that it's trying to connect.
We have the EVP going off full.
Oh, wow. Yeah. The meter's going off at full.
Huh. Well, now you do have it sitting on top of a water cooler that is electronic. So let's move it from that.
That is fair.
Good point.
Put it on the ground.
Towards my house.
Oh, that's a good idea.
There's no electricity down there.
Oh. Nothing here.
If there's a ghost that can hear me, hit Norm in the back of the head as hard as you can. I just want that's not nice. Sorry, buddy. Love you.
I want to set this down. You know what? We saw that full body by the picture last year. I'm gonna put this down there by the full body.
We've got the brother Castro from Frederick, Maryland, brother Rafael Rodriguez, past senior Grand Warden of Grand Lodge of Maryland, and Daniel Castro saying hi, Gary Neal. There's not very nice.
Sarah, we're trying to do a ghost hunt.
Yeah,
so
just watching cameras in the
Sorry,
dark's not all that
Sarah.
entertaining, so.
You might want to find another channel.
Welcome to watch, but stuck with me.
Yeah, sorry, you get to look at us.
Lucky girl, you.
Lucky girl. I
So
have a feeling we might know her.
that thing is going off still. I'm keeping the Grand Archivist room up because
Yeah.
do you see that?
Yeah,
That little light that just came on the Grand Archivist room? That wasn't-
Hey, Maynard.
Yeah,
There's one of those little cat balls on top of past Grand Commander Blake's sword.
yeah, I don't think this is that. This is something else.
that's not it, no.
But you see what I'm looking at, don't you?
Uh-huh.
That just came on.
All right, we're gonna head back to the Grand Archivist room.
Yeah. All right, and Bowers is over, while you guys are heading there, Bowers is next door in the Pike room. This room actually contains the creepiest artifact in the entire House of the Temple collection. And can you get a shot of it, Matt, the Pike death mask? I'm not sure he can hear me.
Chris says we need to go to the stacks all the way in the back of the library near the top of me.
Okay.
Let's start first.
You and I can walk back there in a few minutes. Oh, Bowers' camera just went out.
You can type.
He's in the Pike room.
Mm,
So if you're just joining us, the Grand Archivist room, it's the Burl, it was formerly known as the Burl Ives room, had a lot of things from Burl Ives. Now that's the lights you're seeing now are are Norm and John walking in. But there's, what they just walk in front
Talk
of?
about this room when you walk in,
It's heavy.
yeah, it's very heavy in here right now.
Really?
Yeah. That's the perfect analogy.
We're gonna put the rest up there.
If this is your patent, which device? Hey, John? We got 6 lights.
Oh. Yeah, that's going off the throat.
So I don't know if you just heard that, but we asked if this is the patent that belongs to this individual who touched the light, and we got 6 lights on a meter.
Now, directly, so I guess if you're looking at that thing to the right, there's a little tiny light on screen that wasn't there. It just kind of came on. It looks like it's in one of the display cases.
You mean over here?
No, keep going towards, yeah, you just walked like between it and the camera.
Huh?
We don't see anything.
Oh, man, say it. I think I know what it is.
It could be.
It could be the reflection of the charging light off of something metal in this room.
Yeah.
Okay, but it wasn't on previous, so that's why it caught my eye. So it's just maybe something is charging and it wasn't. But it definitely wasn't there when you guys left the room, and then it came on. So
I mean, we might just unplug it just to see if that's it.
okay,
Yeah. Show that.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
Still there.
Okay, so
So
we
if
don't know
you
what
look
you're
at the
looking at.
screen, you'll see the green light on the left-hand side, and then there's another little light.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, there's a
What
little
is that?
dot.
Yeah, that wasn't on the whole time. We couldn't
What is
figure
that?
out what that was.
I'm gonna turn the light on so we can see.
So it might be, hold on. Oh. Try and turn the light back off.
Yeah, but now the camera's at a different angle, so whatever it was is.
Yeah, I don't know. It may have been. Yeah, it's down there, right? Again?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's still there.
whatever. You just walked in front of it.
If I put my hand sort of, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm looking over here I'm on the opposite side of the room and I don't see a light.
Jason says we're the best dressed ghost hunters you've ever seen. That's because we were all here working all day today, so we had to have one rough.
Yeah, I don't know what it said.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. So Ruley says we should go back into the stacks by the coffee maker. So the stacks are, you see those two doors behind us here? Those are the stacks, and is it locked or we?
Which are the light?
Peace.
See, we can head in there. All right, you guys try and figure that out. Elizabeth and I are going to walk into the stacks here and see if, we can. All right. So this is the library and reading room. And by the way, the House of the Temple Library is still open to the public. It always has been. And
Right, just go
if you
ahead.
want to do some research, you
Am I
can.
turning it off again? I think it might be this.
That mic down there. So if I call to you, you can unmute it. So this is Ruley says we should come back in here.
It's dark out there, Chris. Very dark out there.
Volumes in this library. It's pretty cool. And this is the back corner. And honestly, there's a oh, it just said my internet connection is on. And this, by the way, this internet issue that we're having, this is new. It just started this afternoon. And it's not a bandwidth issue. We run dozens of computers at a time in here, but I get first last. Okay. Asked if anybody recorded at 3 a.m. So the answer is yes. We've left video recorders, all recorders in here at all hours of the day and night. Like last year, I think it was like 2 a.m. when we saw the apparition in the
Yeah, I don't think
Grand
there's
Commander's
not
corridor. Yeah.
3, more like 2.
Yeah, there's correlation between 2 a.m. and things like that. So I'm going to run through some of the comments here. We got a lot of folks joining us, so thank you for being a part of this. I'm wondering, yeah, I could definitely tell we got away from the internet a little too far, but it looks like we're okay now. I'm going to jump down to Brother Steve is Steve, Steve Dineline, won't you, is that the Pike Room or is that the, no? Where are you guys in the, that's in
in
the
the family-
fraternity, yeah, the family
family
Freemason
Freemason
room. This is our newest museum space, just opened last year. What do you guys come in, run into in that room?
Uh, we just came in here from the Pike Room, just kind of getting a feel for it. Might shut the lights off here in a minute, just looking around, seeing if there's anything that maybe we might use as like an object to trying to attract some attention from some of our departed brothers.
That room in and of itself has a little bit of a creepy vibe to begin with. I will say
Oh.
this, okay, and I've said,
When I first
Yeah,
walked
that's
in
not
and saw this, I was a little concerned.
Should have warned you. Sorry.
school Templar outfit there. Now, I will say that of all the rooms in the building, I generally don't get a creepy vibe from any room in the building, but that room in particular, I rarely go into, and it has less to do with like a vibe and to do with because there are different than most other places in the building, and so it kind of hurts my ears a little bit. But um, it's a very cool museum space with a lot of artifacts from different parts of the Masonic fraternal family. So we've got Job's daughters in there. There's some Shriner stuff, Shriner's clowns and things, artifacts from the shrine. We've also got, is that, I thought that was a ghost. It's just your reflection. Frightening though. There's York Rite stuff in there. There's stuff from the Eastern Star. So, and it's only been open, we opened it during the last session, right? Yeah,
It's
so
been a little over a
just a
year.
little over a year. And my son helped build some of the stuff in that room, so I do like the room, but there's no car in there at all, so that the sound reflections are weird for me. So, all right, well, you guys shut the lights out. Let us know if you run into anything there. So, all right,
Will do.
let's check in. Whoop, go ahead. That's Steve. Right. I'm gonna wait, Steve. Let's go to Brother Senate. You and Chris look like you're moving around the building there, and you're currently in the atrium. So what do you guys run into? Right now is our grand atrium. So when you walk in the front door of the house of the temple, there's that what they're looking at. They're facing our security desk, but kind of to the left of where they're going right now is the main entrance, and that is the Grand Commander's area there. You're going to see them up onto this camera here in just a second.
There they are. Keep it taped on.
Yeah, that's the camera that we're having problems with, which is bizarre.
Ping is the fire alarm chirping.
And it
Yeah.
just started something. So we got kicked off the internet there for a minute. So they just went into your office, it looks like there. So Chris and Senate are now back in the atrium again, it looks like. We did, Grand Commander's quarter camera went off again. No, there it is. I'm sorry. Right, so down on the lower left-hand side, you can see this is Elizabeth's office and then into the Grand Commander's office. Now, has the Grand Commander ever reported to you any like noises, anything going on while he's being,
No,
you know?
no, but, Mr. Seal's chair, when I worked for him, when he was Grand Commander, it moved on its own once.
You, and he told me about that too, didn't? Because it had a very particular sound, right?
Yeah, it had a popping sound when he would get out of it, and I heard the pop, so it's the first time I was ever alone in that office.
And so you thought he was getting up out of his chair.
I thought somebody was getting out of the chair, but I knew he wasn't there that day.
So right now, we'll just kind of run down what the cameras are, the major cameras are that we've got in different places. First is the Grand Commander's corridor. You see that light there. That on the right-hand side of that corridor is the Grand Commander's office. On the left, there are a couple of doors. One leads to a closet and utility space, and the other leads to a stairwell that uses to, get up and down in the building, a couple of different places. Next, down in the lower left to the crypts. Those are where the final resting places of Albert Pike and Grand Commander John Henry Coles. And then the caretaker's apartment. The caretaker used to live here, and that was his office, or that was his apartment. That was his bedroom, basically. And then in the that's where we heard a lot of voices or reports of a lot of voices. I've never heard them. Matt's never heard them, and it's his office now. But we're both deaf at this point after 20 years of being in rock and roll bands. And then the Grand Archivist room in the lower right is the is the former Burroughs Eyes room, and there's been multiple reports of EVPs and things in that room. So we have 6 different people roaming the building, checking things out, doing some ghost hunting, and we're live here at the House of the Temple in Washington, D.C. This is Elizabeth Sizemore. I'm Maynard Edwards, and we do thank you for checking this out. If you're watching and you're interested in some of this behind the scenes stuff, we do have a Lost Media archive where down in our overflow library, we have records, we have reel-to-reel tapes, we have old film, we have things, and we're trying to preserve all of that. But a lot of it we need to buy equipment for, and so the Lost Media Archive for $2 a month, you can help us preserve that stuff, and then once we get it, we load it on screen for you guys to do. And there's a couple hundred members in there now, and they've helped us. Like as for instance, the man who's laid to rest in the crypts there, John Henry Coles. His funeral service took place in this building, and they recorded it. It was on a reel-to-reel tape, and we had to buy and repair a reel-to-reel player, and we did that, and it's now available, and you can listen to it in that Lost Media archive. So, Brother Michael wants to do this at the Livingston Library. Hey, I'll be, we'll all come up. The Livingston, the House of the Temple is absolute bucket list for any Freemason. But so is the Livingston Library in New York. It is attached to the Grand Lodge of New York, and I was there. I gosh, it's probably been a year ago, wasn't it, Michael? And it's an amazing place. So if you're a Mason and you're in New York City, do yourself a favor and pay them a visit. And good folks working there too. Besides Brother Michael, that's, his whole team there is fantastic, and the Grandmaster in New York, Most Worshipful Brother Steve Rubin is just a wonderful guy, and we love working with different libraries, different groups, different teams because we're all brothers, so it's a lot of fun. What'd you see?
Some pickup on the
Which?
John.
Oh, John. Where's John?
He's behind.
We are back here in the library stacks,
Oh, nice.
and here on top of the book about the trial of the Templars, we are having. Oh, as soon as I said Templar, it just shot up.
So
Look at that.
Full 6 bars.
now move it like someplace else and see what happens if it stops.
Oh, if it stops.
Yeah, well, I want to try
Yeah,
and
try
let's
and
not
try and play
disprove
it.
it a little bit. Let's if it maybe it's reacting to a light or something.
Oh, you know what? I got an idea. It's probably a sensor.
Just be the room.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's a lot of
Could be some.
fluorescent lights in there, so maybe that's throwing it off. Yeah, something in that room must be, just kill John.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think it's just something in the room.
Yeah, because it's on.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah, they can go somewhere.
I think a lot of those cases are alarmed too.
Yeah, you're probably right about that. These are at least.
Said it over here earlier. It's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. Inconclusive, I guess.
All right. Now it looks like Bowers is. Let me send him a message.
We just stepped into the Americanism Museum.
So this is an exhibit dedicated to lots of Freemasons through in the United States history. Is that John's
I
church?
just-
Yeah. I got some in my office. Some folks' phones are dying. So, how long have you guys been in there, Matt?
We just stepped in not even a minute ago.
How's that?
So, this looks like someone familiar.
Yeah, that is the flight suit of a Top Gun pilot,
Yeah.
illustrious MG Sizemore, Grand Cross.
This is the only thing in the building that creeped out my wife. I thought it would have been the Pike death mask, and I was wrong.
So, well, have you guys been in there with the lights off yet, or no?
No, like I said, we just stepped in here a minute ago. We just kind of getting a look of everything. We'll probably turn the lights off in here in a second, see what'll happen. Steve's turning them off right now. I'm not sure if the light, oh, okay, the lighting inside of the glass case will go off, okay.
All right, now I'm going to put up some of the cameras, some of the steady cams, and keep everybody's mics muted for a minute here. And I'm going to kind of go through the building myself just for the heck of it. So I'm going to put up the main cameras here. Maybe we'll even turn out the lights in this library space here where I am.
I know it's not stopped.
What are you guys running into there?
Steve put down the cat toy and it's taking forever to stop moving. It's finally now stopped. It should stop flashing in a moment. Yeah, there we go. We might mute our mics in a second to see if we can get any EVP going on.
Okay. Well,
But right now we're just sitting in the dark in the Americanism Museum.
all right, we're gonna leave the cameras on for just a minute. I'm gonna put the light out in this space. Oop, where did we lose? We lost the camera in the up there, it's back. That's so weird. All right, so these are the main cameras of our most active spaces. We're gonna leave those on for a minute. I'm gonna take the lights down in this room here a little bit, and we're gonna see if we can't settle in a little more quiet.
You want me to mute this?
And then mute that. And then what we might do in a little bit is go to some of the spaces, in the interstitial spaces, as they're called, the spaces above the temple room where, there were workers and builders and things, and there's even some 100-year-old graffiti. So if you're just joining us, thank you. And if you got questions, comments, or you've got some trick or tip to get the ghosts to come out and play, please drop it in the chat there. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out. It keeps us higher up in the YouTube algorithm and allows us to do a lot of things like, recently we did a video on dispelling the Taxel hoax, which I think was a really important one. Earlier today, Chris Rulli and myself released a video just for Halloween fun about a couple of famous Masonic graves. So check those out. And we're going to watch these cameras for just a couple of minutes and let there be a little quiet. I'm going to bring the lights down in this room as well. And we'll come back in a few.
When I was down there in the banquet hall, was this thing, I asked, what do you want to say? And it spoke through the radio, said you could have a meeting.
Oh, come on. There you go. Where is that?
I think John called that.
They got caught. All right, I'm in charge. Where are we going next? There was that light on in the Grand Archivist room. I like that idea, Patrick. You said lay out some petitions and see if they're filled out overnight. I like that idea. What's that? Someone close the door. Everybody's moving around.
Hey, Elizabeth, I'm in the Grand Archivist room. I figured out what that little light is
Okay.
and why it comes on and off. Okay, so based on which cameras we have on, it's the reflection of the screen.
Of the camera. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so here, like, and it's hard to, I'll turn the light on. I didn't need anything. I've been wanting to debunk this. So I wanted to try and figure out why this light was sort of blinking and it just seemed
Did you
too,
see that the camera just followed you and zoomed in on you?
yeah, that's the
Oh.
new, that's the iPad OS 18. That's the new update. Watch so so that's part of the issue. The other issue is that, so this is a screen here, obviously, an iPad screen. And when I switch cameras for different views, it's putting one of those views up on here and it's reflecting off the edge of this bowl and this gavel here. There's gold paint on there. And so when the camera's changed and enough light hits it, it reflects back. So sort of debunk that one, but let's see what we got.
Okay, good.
We'll put this camera in a different spot. Let's put it over. Now, Brother Michael earlier said that the mirror. So it's not really a mirror per se, but there's a bunch of reflective stuff in here. So
Yeah, everything's covered in glass, so it's going to be reflective.
I'm gonna put this here instead. Then we'll kill the lights and see.
Okay, zooming back out. Let's see what we see now. Still have a few lights in there, but I think those are still like he said, just reflection. Okay, we figured out what that was. Where's everybody else? Okay, I think it's moving to the basement. Nothing. Okay, need to be your feedback.
So we managed to debunk one thing.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so I like to try and like, let's get as much, silliness out of the way as we can. So those little lights there, if you look at the Grand Archivist camera there, and the lower left-hand side of your screen, there's two little tiny lights, and there's no lights on in the room, but what you're seeing is the reflection from the view screen on the tablet that we're using as a camera in there. And then, now John and Norm were in the ballroom. We don't have a camera set up in the ballroom because never really had any experience there at all. But you guys just ran into something. So tell us what happened when you guys were in the ballroom. You were using the little radio device down there.
So I had it turned on, and it filters throughout these different radio stations. So I asked it, "What do you want to say right now?" And in between the static, I heard probably an ad that said you could get a beating, and then it went back to static again. So it's between that and the other one saying don't, seems like they're not too happy that we're here.
Little creepy.
Don't. Now, where were you when it said don't?
I think it was in the
Grand Archivist.
Grand Archivist.
Right when
Yeah,
you walked in,
yeah,
yeah.
when we walked in.
Gotcha. So that's all right. So now, you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that,
I mean, yeah, it could always be a coincidence, but it's the tools we have. So,
Oh, all right.
Make do.
It looks like Chris is moving around. So, Chris, what are you guys, where are you guys? It looks like you're upstairs in the temple room.
Yeah, that's correct, Maynard. Senate and I are hanging out in the dark in the temple room, just seeing if we can see anything.
Now, the one issue with the temple room, and we ran into this last year, is we did have cameras set up in there, and they were triggered by sound to, kick on and alert when there was a sound in the room. The problem with that room is more than any other room, you get street noise coming in because there's on three sides of the room, there are very large windows that go basically floor to ceiling. And, that's a span of at least, I'd say those windows, what, John, 35, 40 feet tall?
Yes.
So, I mean, that's a big single pane glass for, sound to come in directly from 16th Street in Washington DC, which is a very busy street. So, that's the one problem with that room is that you do get a lot of street noise. So if there's somebody out in front of our building yelling and screaming,
Or a bus,
which
yeah.
happens from time to time, or a bus, then you definitely you're gonna hear it through that door. So, all right, well, if you guys run into something, let us know and we'll keep an ear out. Now, John, you said that there was some more John Henry Cole's stuff that you could talk about here with us. And John Henry is one of the men who is interred in the building, his mortal remains. So tell us a little bit more about Grand Commander Coles.
Yeah, of course. Probably one of the most common hauntings, or at least signs that we've heard here, is that you can hear his cane tapping throughout the atrium, sort of the lobby area, by the hallway where he lived and had his office. He was a very clumsy man. In 1 year in 1943, when he turned 80 years old, he tripped over his luggage, which sprained his back. He tripped down the Masonic Temple in Asheville down the front steps and broke his left arm, and then tripped on a sidewalk here in DC and broke his right arm. So his chauffeur had to then dress him for about a year because he just couldn't get his arms right. And even, the reason why he had to retire was because he tripped on a rug in his office, broke his hip, and pretty much had to retire, and then still lived here for 2 years. And then that's when he passed away at
91 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if anybody is still in this building, we definitely suspect him. Although Elizabeth made a case for Grand Commander Klein Connect, I've not heard that he was here very much. I mean, obviously, he didn't live here. He lived nearby.
He didn't live here, but he did work here for a very long time.
Probably
Yeah.
50 years.
Yeah, because he started as he was a Grand Secretary General for a number of years, correct?
Yes.
And before that, he was just sort of a regular
Employee.
office worker. Yeah.
Yeah,
He worked
so he's employed.
for a very, very long time.
And so another guy who spent, let's say the majority of his adult life in this building, as someone else who spent the majority of it. Now, all right. So Elizabeth, you're gone, God forbid, 100 years from now. You coming back to hang out at the House of the Temple?
No, y'all will not see me here 100 years from now on the ghost hunt. I
The-
promise you
The
that.
ghost of Elizabeth will not be wandering the hallway. Now, she says that, but
Well, yeah, I don't know. Give me another 50 years.
Come back,
No.
update the Amity file every couple of years.
Yeah, I'll be updating the Grandmaster list and the Amity list, my ghost days.
So let's check in with Brother Stephen. Let's see where they are at this point. I think they're Steve, where are you guys right now? I can't quite tell. That, it's in darkness.
Where are they?
I'm not sure. I see John is over by the crypts right now, and I think he's trying to use that same radio device. And we are still continually losing the camera in the Grand Commander's corridor. Hey, Norm, if you can hear me, go over to that camera in the Grand Commander's corridor and see if you can't get that to find out what's wrong. Maybe the battery's dying or something. I'm not sure. That's strange.
Yep, I'm gonna walk over to it right now.
Those of you who have were joining
It's
us,
reconnecting.
keep doing so.
Hang on.
Okay, Steve is okay. He's outside the Americanism here.
All right, so the iPad is actually at 100% charge and a good strong signal to the Wi-Fi.
Weird.
It's definitely weird. It keeps shutting itself off. So maybe unplug it and just let it sit without the. Maybe it's overheated or something. I don't know. That could happen.
It's pretty cool. All right, I have unplugged it. I think what I'm going to do is put the monitor at the end of the hall and see if we get any lights.
Going back now.
Wi-Fi and
Look at that. Oh, there it goes. Oh.
I think it's got a mind of its own.
And it last year we had no problems with that camera, but we had problems with all the other ones. So. Strange. So it's frozen now.
So it looks like the camera completely shut down now. It's trying to reconnect, but it completely shut off.
Huh. Now, Matt, he's in.
He's in Nicole's office, which is John Henry Cows's apartment. That's where he lived.
Where we believe he died.
Yes.
So it looks like all right, let me clear some of these so we can get a little bit better look.
And we have his portrait in there. With a big.
This is the portrait of him.
Yeah, John's got it on his.
Yep, hang on, John.
Stay there.
Stay there on that, John. Okay, so
That's
John Henry.
Grand Commander.
Now what the heck? That screen is. Now we're having screen problems in here. So electronics are definitely starting to act a little goofy in the last little bit.
Just dropped off.
I
Probably
think,
the hallway.
yep. All right, so it's a little bit after 10 and we're already starting to, that's exactly what happened. That hallway camera disappeared again. So the room where John and Matt Bowers are right now, is currently one of the accounting offices, and it's Nicole's office. And that was where John Henry lived.
That was his bedroom.
That was his room. So, and he expired, in there, and there's a bathroom right there too. So, it's right in that general area, that he left us.
That's the bathroom.
There's his tub.
His nice big tub and his big old shower. Which neither work anymore.
That's a shame. It'd be much better to come here after going to the gym than the gym shower, but I digress.
I know, like,
Yes,
it's like
Nicole.
a full
Yeah.
body one too. I've always wanted to use it, but yeah, it doesn't work.
Sure, it's exactly what Nicole wants, is all of us coming to her office and shower. Now, John, see, John's camera's acting up now too. Strange. All right, you guys gonna kill the lights in there and just chill for a few minutes, or?
Yeah, I can chill in here for a couple minutes.
Steve and. Couple members of the crew are upstairs in the temple room. And then we've got Matt and Steve and John all in the accounting office.
Sorry, that was us going into the executive chamber.
I heard that door knocker. I know that door knocker.
Yeah, definitely there are sounds that, like, you know what it is when you hear it.
That's why the year that you heard the grate close in
Yeah,
the
I knew exactly
hallway,
what it
I
was.
was like, I know that sound. That means it's time to go home. They're turning the lights out. They're locking us in.
We'll let our broadcast go for a little while longer here. The ghosts are they're quite night here at the House of the Temple. But there have been a couple little things like the lights definitely did come on and off all by themselves in the Grand Archivist room earlier.
Those spikes we were getting on the meter in the Grand Archivist room, I mean,
The one thing I want to do is I do want to send somebody up into the interstitial space up. And I'm sure John knows what I'm talking about. There's some 100-year-old graffiti up there. And I think, like, going up there to ask, to chit chat with a ghost, I don't know. That's a place where I've always felt like there's something. I don't get this a lot, but like when I walk up there, it's a different feeling than the rest of the building.
get a little hair on the back of your neck.
Not
Kind of.
even that, but definitely like I'm not by myself, if that makes
Yeah,
any sense.
Yeah. By the roof entrance.
Yes.
It's a long walk up there.
They're young. They can make it.
They'll make it.
Oh, we get the mic. Now, I'm recording each of these cameras individually, so I'll be able to look through the footage, and if there's something we missed, we'll be able to check it out a little bit later on. And we might even leave one of the cameras up for a few hours after we're done, just to, see what's happening. So if you're watching and you're a Mason or Scottish Rite Mason, York Rite, D-Malay, whatever, give us a shout out. We've had D-Malay checking in. We've had Masons and Scottish Rite Masons check in. Brother Patrick, so Jay Moo, Corey says hi. Hi, Corey. Brother Gary Neal. Chad asks if the ghosts are interfering with the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi has definitely been goofy today. Not during the day while we were here working, but as things started to settle down in the afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock, we started setting the cameras up and kind of putting things where they go. And definitely have had issues. John, Norm, are you guys looks like you guys are in the executive chamber?
We are.
And so there's not much in the way of electricity in that room at all. And I know this because we have to often run power cords all over the floor to be able to get power for lights and things when we do videos in there. But you're running into some serious electromagnetic stuff there, if you will.
Yeah, so as soon as you mentioned the electricity, it actually spiked.
Yeah.
And about a minute ago, we asked if anyone had anything. And it went off, and it almost sounded like the spirit box had come on, even though the volume was off. Like it was just like a brief, sort of like connecting sound almost, like when you connect the Bluetooth.
And we're getting almost 6 lights.
So Tyler, Texas Lodge, 1239. Oh, Tyler, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by tonight. So, Steve think those guys are still in the accounting office. So, Brother Steve or Matt, whichever you want to, can you explain? And you've done a little more research on this than the rest of us. The EVP, not EVP, the EMF detectors. What does it do that indicates that there's some spirits being active within the vicinity of that device? You might not be able to hear me. I think Matt can hear me, but we've got folks all over the building, and they're kind of muting and unmuting their mics. And
Want to share some light with us? Flashing graphics.
No, I don't think that's much.
ask the ghost to make the lights go off. Ask if there's a spirit here, can you make the lights turn off?
If there is a spirit here, can you make the lights turn off?
Well, it definitely got brighter when you said that.
Yeah, it got brighter. I think earlier our phones were just too close to it. That's why it was giving off the 5 lights.
You're right, Brother Gary. We usually do go home at night and we are using their bandwidth.
Ghosts are agitated because they can't stream Netflix like they used to.
Watch my shows.
Corey says the place is either haunted or cursed. Haunted, perhaps. To me, the jury's still out. I think Elizabeth would say it's haunted. I'm not sure what anybody else will say. We'll get it.
Haunted has a negative connotation, and they're Masons, so.
Well, that's why I would never say it's cursed. There may be
Exactly.
spirits that are still hanging out, but certainly isn't cursed. There's nothing, I don't think sense ever anything malevolent or unkind in the building at all.
Mm-mm.
But, definitely times when you're here by yourself that you think, I don't feel like I'm by myself. There's something else here. So
Almost every time I'm here.
And you aren't here by yourself a lot. Oh, it looks like Senate is, Brother Senate, you guys are in
Careful.
the stairwell. Yeah, be very careful on those stairs.
Yes, I'm showing some basically how high we are right now.
Where are you?
In stairwell exit.
Yeah, that's the Grand Commander's secret.
Yeah, the
exit
temple
from the
up in the
temple
temple room.
Goes straight down to the Grand Commander's hallway.
Yep.
So there is, on either side of the building, there are two, we say, secret stairways, and they kind of make it, if you're a House of the Temple employee, you can get from one area in this building to another in a few seconds because you don't have to walk through the whole building. Now, you see, a lot of us do walk through the whole building because we're trying to get our extra steps in.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get from, let's say, like Elizabeth said, the Grand Commander's office to the temple room, you can take that stairwell and you can be up there in a few seconds. It's a straight shot. And the last,
That's the one you can also get straight to the basement.
right. And the reason those were there is that, and if you're a Mason, you've seen this. If you're the master of a lodge, or you're a Grand Master, or you're a Grand Commander, and the building is full of people, and you try to get from one place to another, everybody wants to stop and say hi to you. So you kind of need an escape hatch to be able to get from, if you've got stuff to do, you want to get from your office to the temple room or to the basement or wherever it is you want to go without having to run through the middle of the building and run into 70 people and slow you down, take you a half an hour to go 20 feet.
Or just get out of the room.
Right. The last time we used the secret staircase for its secret purpose to get somebody from point A to point B without being seen was Dan Brown, who was here in 2019. And he was in the Grand Commander's office. He signed autographs and hung out, but then he gave a presentation upstairs in the temple room, and he used that stairway to get from point A to point B.
I think that was the most people I've ever seen in the temple room since I've been here.
Oh yeah, easily. Ranger Rob is the past master counsel. Hey Rob, how you doing? I know who you are. Good to see you, Rob. And then Corey says the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin is not far from him. Pay him a visit. Probably not haunted, but if you're interested in Freemasonry, I'm sure they'll be glad to chat with you. Right, Senate is up in the temple room. So let me, Matt and Steve turn their phone off.
They were meeting the
Oh.
executive chamber.
It sounded strange at first, like.
Sounded like they pulled the door. The door knocker popped twice.
So, Maynard, we now have a message on this camera here in the Grand Commander's hallway. Cannot connect to the service, check network. But it's got full connection.
And it hasn't moved. All right, well, I'll reboot it here in a little bit and we'll see. So Matt and Steve, you guys still in accounting, I think?
Yeah, and the interesting thing was the voice recorder that we have in here. We didn't hear anything, but the screen lit up. So I'm not sure what that's about. I mean, we're sitting in the dark. If you were to see anything go by, if it seemed weird, it's because the window leading out to the street, any cars coming up. But other than that, it's mainly been quiet until we saw the screen from the voice recorder light up and then just go black.
Now, I was trying to get you guys a minute ago, but John and Norm are using the EMF detector. So having, messed with it in the past, Steve, is that what's the theory on that? That, a spirit, when it tries to manifest, it can create a field that device will react to? What's the is there some science behind that?
I believe it's when the spirit tries to manifest itself, it creates that electromagnetic aura that the device picks up. So it's like that magnetic field that would detect. Like that thing normally, if you just leave it sit, it only indicates that one light. But if we were to take it and say put it like on top of your laptop right now, it would be detecting the electric current that's going through your laptop. So when you're just kind of standing in a empty space or an open room like we have been tonight, and that thing is lighting up, there's a presence that's trying to manifest and communicate.
They've see, I suspect a lot of what they're running into is because we have, a lot of the museum spaces in particular have alarms and they have lighting, kinds of things that you can't necessarily see, but it's there anyway. And so they'll sort of set the device on top of something, and it's not, it doesn't react to it. It's just reacting to that. It's not something trying to communicate, but rather just, I guess, noise, for lack of a better word.
It's possible, but you still need to be within proximity of it. So if it's an alarm like a shunt in the corner, it's not going to be close enough to trigger that if they have it sitting on a case.
Gotcha. All right. Looks like John and Norm are in one of the long hallways just outside the Burns Library. There are actually 5 different libraries here inside the House of the Temple, 5 different library collections. The Burns Library, which as you're looking at this picture here on the right, to the right, and it looks like John's going to go in there now, is one of the largest collections of Robert Burns. Oh, pardon me, that's the International. No, that's the Burns Library. That was right the first time. The 2 libraries mirror each other, so that's why it's there's Robbie Burns now. One of the largest collections of Burns works in the world. They were in the one of the long corridors. I suspect they just ran out of Wi-Fi.
Norm got the one in my hallway working again.
Yeah, I see.
It got totally kicked off.
That's the exact same picture from last year where we definitely saw something move kind of from right to left. right where that Senate there walking in that, in that corridor, and that last year is where we saw definitely something.
Mhm.
I'm sending Matt and Steve to what we call the interstitial spaces. There's actually, we call them the secret stairways, but they're not really secret. They're behind a door. So, there's not actually hidden, but there is actually a hidden door just outside the temple room. There are two of them, in fact, and they blend in to look like the walls. And one goes up to the organ loft, and the other and towards the roof, and the other is now bricked over. Used to be sort of a ventilation shaft, and there's plumbing and things in there. But when they put Pike and John Henry into the wall, that area was bricked over, and it actually killed some of the ventilation. So, so if you open that door, you just see a brick wall. It's almost like something out of a cartoon. But the other one goes up to the organ loft and things like that. So I'm sending them up there to check that out. It's not a space. It's not on the tour, and not many people go up there ever. But if people were building the building, so you can read someone energy and tell if they're a Mason or not. I can. Probably not, Corey. That sounds like tinfoil hat stuff to me. And we're in the tinfoil hat avoidance business here on the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry channel. So glad you're hanging out with us. Just take the tinfoil hat and just, loosen it up a little bit, bro. One new message. Yeah. Yes. Through the secret door. Yes. Question is, will they have good enough Wi-Fi up
I
there?
was just thinking,
See, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
they're going from that. But yeah. The opposite of what
Or where is a good spot because it's just creepy in general is the storage space kind of across from the organ room where a lot of the portraits are.
Yeah, the organ, the weird shaped room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's creepy.
John does not want to go in there. The fact that John doesn't want to go in there makes me want to send John directly.
That's how you know it's creepy.
So there are a lot of different little storage rooms in the House of the Temple and access spaces and crawl spaces and things. And hey, have a happy Halloween, though, YouTube. So there are different little spaces that no one goes into. They're just strictly storage. And there is one above the temple room. And if you're in the temple room and you look up, you'll see a big screen, and that's where the pipes for the pipe organ are. And behind that, there's a room, and there's a bunch of old portraits that are stored in there. Past Sovereign Grand Inspectors General, and who knows what else. Are they okay?
Oh, they went to the first, y'all got off at the first stop. You didn't go all the way up.
Yeah.
They're in the colonnades.
All right. So
Y'all be careful up there.
yeah, be very careful there at night. So there's a nice shot of the flag out front. So those are behind the columns. Probably not any ghosts up there, but a pretty cool view to be able to see. Those are one of the flags in the front of the building.
Bowers wanted to stop off on the colonnade.
Yeah, it's a good
Head all the way up.
stop.
It's a good spot to smoke a cigar.
Hey, there's
I'll
Here's
bet
an
you.
idea.
I don't know, John Henry. I don't know, made it up those steps too many times.
yeah, I don't know. As John said, he was a clumsy man. He probably avoided them.
He was clumsy and what's the polite? He was stout. I think they'd
Yes.
say in the old days, stout.
That's a
And
nice
those
way.
stairs are not for the stout.
No.
They were very narrow. What was that, man?
Mm-mm.
I think this is one of the doors into the main temple room.
It is.
Yep, that's the one behind the Grand Commander's chair.
So this is the staircase to the organ loft.
Yeah, John's standing at the bottom of it.
Okay, hang on,
It's,
John. Where are you?
We do not see a light switch.
It's on the electric box. You gotta open it up.
Not this one.
No,
Which one?
turn around. Um,
Just walk
you
carefully.
might have to get in there and then flip the switch.
And then turn it on.
Yeah.
You're right here. Oh, I don't know if we have keys.
I'll be
Yeah, the
right
keys
there.
are on my desk. So
I'm coming.
All right, so we got some of the team is headed there on the colonnades there, kind of taking a tour sort of around the outdoor edge of the building there, which no ghosts there probably, but kind of a pretty cool view of the temple that you don't get to see very much. John, meanwhile, with Norman, they are in the stairwell leading up towards that area, and they're going to go over to the organ loft, which is one of the creepiest spots in the building.
I got up there to the very top, realized we didn't have keys. And it sounded like some shuffling noises.
Oh, this is not.
Oh, no. I also heard. Never mind.
Stop it.
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, John, how you doing?
No, that one.
Is it my root key?
Should be the green one.
No, I don't think about that one.
Oh, no. Anymore though.
You can't. Oh,
Can we get a flashlight?
You're right.
yeah.
Sam, you coming?
Man. Oh, the lights are on.
The
Actually.
lights are on.
I don't like that.
I think we just lost Elizabeth.
I'm out. See you later.
Thanks for
Oh,
the.
The reason the lights are on is that Bowers and Steve are
Oh,
up
dear
there.
God, John, you talk to us.
Oh, this isn't supposed to be here. Okay, I might have to make this solo now.
Hey,
Why
Those are some very hot pipes.
no. You get a light on?
Let there be light. Maynard, I don't know if you can hear us.
Again, yeah, I can see the organ pipes.
Cool. Back there, you can see the mesh on the dome where the sound comes out.
Yeah, and so there's all the pipes for the pipe organ, which is a pretty cool thing to see. You don't see that very much.
Yeah. And then,
All right, so
no, there's one more. Get a little closer.
so this room here, this is the one that I was talking about, the one that
Yeah, it's a lot of old portraits in here. Like, Fred Kleinknecht back here. For an SGIGs.
Museum curator Olivia, who's so good at what she does. She's been working through this stack of old portraits, trying to figure out what they all are. They've been up there for decades in some cases.
Hopefully she's watching right now. I have no idea what this. I guess it's a lamp.
Yep.
Yeah, some old lamps.
One of the Tiffany lamps.
And canes.
Now, the light was already on up there?
Yeah, the light was on up here,
which is
seemed
odd.
Yeah, it seemed odd.
I mean, because that light is because nobody is up there much.
Yeah. Possible Tyler's chair here. Yeah, and it's on a timer too, it seems like.
Right.
Or it's kind of stuck in place, it seems.
All right, so maybe it's just broken. Okay.
Yeah, could be that. And then there's a crawl space back there, but you can't really see much.
Yeah, we don't need to get back into that. If the ghosts are hanging out in crawl space, it's all theirs.
Yeah, I think Norm and everyone else has ditched me. So. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that's everything from up here. Oh no. Norm, you want to take the keys? No, it's okay.
You go back down. Watch your head.
Oh, 07?
Okay.
Oh, I guess it helps if not use it.
Can you hear us, Maynard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful view from the roof.
Over on the northeast side, you can see the National Basilica, tallest building in the district. The apartment complex, which I think I saw a comment earlier. Someone said they saw someone in the pool, the temple room. That's the pool down there.
Yeah.
We're gonna head out to the other side.
There's a retreat. There's not a view everybody gets to see.
Nice breeze up here.
Okay.
The capital and.
Yes, the capitol's over there.
Yeah, you gotta over here and then. You can't over this. It's all-
A pretty good view of the skyline here of Washington DC. You got the Washington Monument there off in the distance. Got the Capitol building. It's kind of off in the distance there. Can't really zoom in on Zoom. Imagine that. But pretty much have, it's like right about here's the Capitol building. There's the Washington Monument there. Very nice, serene view of the skyline here. It's also quite windy up here. I don't know if you're getting that on the microphone or not.
Yeah,
But
we can hear the wind for sure. If you're just joining us, welcome to our 2024 Halloween ghost hunt. We've done this remotely the last couple of years. This year we're in the building during Halloween for the first time. Could probably go for another 10 or 12 minutes or so. We'll wrap it up for the night. But it's been a little bit of a quiet night here at the House of the Temple. We've had teams searching basically every single space in this building, and it's been like I said, it's been relatively quiet. We have a handful of different spaces that we consider to be active in terms of hauntings, if you will. I remain skeptical, but and we do have two people who are their mortal remains are interred here in the building down in the crypts there, and then we have at least two people who died in the building. Well, one in the building, and one just outside of the building. The one in the building is John Henry Coles. He is laid to rest here in the building also. And the other one was an unfortunate I think a mugger, Robert. He was running from the cops and he leaped over one of our sphinxes thinking they were only a few feet off the ground. And on one side, they are only about 10, 12 feet off the ground. On the other side, it's about 30-foot fall to the bottom. And he did sadly die in that leap. Senate has returned, so come on over here and while they're all wandering about. So just, you've been in a lot of different places in the building. Is, overall feeling, any creepiness, like bad feelings? Like John and Norm walked into the Grand Archivist room at one point in time and said it felt heavy. How about you guys?
I would say probably that room. The first room that me and Chris was in when we were sitting in the dark it was heavy too. It just felt off.
And which room was that?
The recognition.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, everybody's kind of, so overall, just different spots of the building. Is there anything that room that you said, the hall of recognition there, which is just outside of one of our library spaces? What, you walking away, you saying haunted, not haunted, undecided?
Undecided.
Undecided. All right. So overall thoughts then, give me your summary.
It felt off.
Fell off. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. Brother Chris, come on over. So you also have, you and Senate have teamed up most of the night. You've been sort of quietest. I think you guys everybody else is moving around so much. I think they're scaring off all the fish. But overall, summary feelings of different things here at the temple.
Saw nothing really spooky or creepy, heard noises, but they're probably consistent with it being a really old building. Yeah, so I didn't, fairly unimpressive evening.
So slow evening. But now Norm and John, and John's here all the time, so is Norm. They were in the Grand Archivist room and they felt sort of a heaviness. They mentioned, John said that as well. Senate said he felt some heavy. Did you have that kind of same feeling?
Nothing.
No?
No.
So now generally, are you more skeptical than not?
Yeah, I would say it was, I mean, I want to see an apparition, but, I would say it was sure.
Now I think I'm open-minded but skeptical. I've had some experiences that I have difficulty explaining, but at the same time, I'm kind of unwilling to say, yes, this is the place is haunted. So do 32nd degree special office temples. Brother Eddie asks if members get special access to the temple. I wouldn't say you get special access, but if you come in, you certainly get the red carpet treatment. Stuff that's the places that are off limits to the general public. We don't take people mainly for safety reasons. So, but if there's something you want to see in particular, let us know. We only keep the Holy Grail here on weekends, and we're closed on weekends. So, by the way, for all the crazy tinfoil hat people, that is a joke.
Is it?
It is a joke.
Okay.
Yes, it is. So please don't wind up the comments before the weekend. So, all right, Norm, swap places with Chris. Let's do a little wrap up here on everybody before we proceed to close. Come on over. So you guys have wandered around the building pretty good, and Steve's still wandering around. We lost Steve.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hey guys, what's this gold cup for?
yep. Not funny. And now the comments are gonna be crazy all weekend long. So Norm, you're here a lot. Anything tonight that stuck out to you is hair raising, if you will, of different, made you feel a little different about the building?
Nothing really. I think the archivist room was the interesting. I think John hit it on the head. It definitely had a heavier feeling in that room. But other than that, pretty much business as usual.
Yeah, that was that was interesting because when you both opened the door of that room the second time after those lights flickered, because those lights definitely came on and off by themselves at one point in time. And you guys walked in and you both said the exact same thing. I said, whoa, as soon as you opened the door, and it was a different feeling from the first time to the second time. So aside from that room and that experience, anything else that jumped out at you?
Nothing really. It's pretty much business as usual.
All right. Now, there's John over there. Yeah, come on over closer to the mic. So, again, been in here 1,000 times, all day, every day. That room, when you open the door to that room, you both, now I'll pull it off, when I review all the footage, I'll pull it, and I'll get that, but your reaction was visceral. What was it specifically? You described it as a heaviness. Can you kind of be more elaborate?
Yeah, sure. It sort of just felt like the air was damp. And even sort of walking, it's kind of a heavier step to it, for at least for a few seconds. I feel like that room always kind of has that weird feeling in it. You have to go all the way to the end of the room basically to flip on all the lights.
Have you run over real fast so you can turn?
Yeah, no, I get spooked easily. So when I'm in here in the morning, I'm headphones in, running around, just flipping everything on. Yeah.
I can't hear the ghosts.
Yeah. They can't whisper in my ear.
When I used to take the trash out as a little kid, I would always think that monsters were going to get me between the driveway, end of the driveway and the house. So I when I take the trash out, run real fast and then run back. Is that kind of deal?
Yeah.
All right. Just checking. All right. So Steve, who's brought all the toys, come on over. We'll get your recap as well. Steve and Matt were in a lot of different spaces in the building than everybody else. They started up in the temple room, lights off. And that, the temple room, just because of the architecture and the shape of everything in it, is kind of visually in the dark, a little off-putting. You ghost hunted before, you've got some experience, and we're gonna review all the different EVPs and things and listen to them, and I can, filter them and see if there's stuff on there, but, overall summary, anything that jumped out at you tonight as being, ghostly or spooky?
I mean, the temple room, when we turned all the lights out, it kind of got a little bit of a feel to it, but nothing that felt like, we were in a ghost meeting or anything like that. We ventured down to the Outer Pike exhibit at one point, and looking at his death mask is always unsettling.
It is.
But there's a moment in there where it just kind of felt like a change in the room. We ventured around to the basement, which I always tell people don't go in the basement because.
Have you ever seen a horror movie? Don't go in the
Yeah,
basement.
exactly. I mean,
Don't do it.
at home at Mount Ararat, you go down the basement, you don't come back up, kind of thing.
Right.
Overall, the basement was probably the creepiest part. We did sit in some of the other exhibit rooms, the Americanism room that we went into, where Elizabeth's dad's flight suit sitting there. That's kind of a little unsettling to look at, but it didn't really give me any feeling like we weren't, occupied with somebody else kind of deal. It was overall a pretty calm night. I don't think that there was anything that really jumped out at me that hey, there's something else here.
So you, at this point, you can't say haunted, not haunted, just undetermined.
Undetermined, I think at this point. I took a lot of pictures. We did do some EVP recording sessions. Matt,
And we'll review all that later and just double check we didn't miss anything.
and Matt asked a lot of great questions, so we'll see if Albert Pike.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Answer that.
Is any of it airable? Is it?
Some of it.
Okay,
So,
so, all right.
it was a great night, I think.
All right, before we wrap up, we have to get Elizabeth over here, who she's the one person who here, I think everybody else has pretty much said either undetermined or, just not sure about it, but you believe 100% this joint has some, you don't like to use the word haunted, but there are people we can't see walking around here.
Things we can't explain.
No, there's definitely things you can't explain. I've always said that this building has things that go bump in the night that you just, it's difficult to say what they are. Last year, we went through every frame of footage and we found some interesting things, and we did find some sounds, but like one of them, there was some stuff in Bauer's office that I think it might have been a mouse trap if I really and there's definitely, it's an old building and there's mice here. I doubt he's still watching because it's well past his bedtime, but Brother Dean Albin had these guys get a remote control rat and have it scurry around my feet, because I'm not afraid of much, but rats kind of freak me out, and they thought that I would scream and yell, but I am my children's father, and they've been attempting to terrify me for so long, I'm over it. So nice try. Good try, but
We just need a real rat.
don't, no. No, that's it.
That's all we need. I mean, we're DC, they're kind of easy to find.
So overall, I think it was a quiet night at the House of the Temple. But
Yes, I think so too.
a fun thing to do for Halloween, and you guys watching, and there's been a lot of you over the course of the night who joined us and asked some good questions, and you got to see parts of the building that simply don't get to see. So I thank you guys for watching. I hope everybody has a great, safe, and happy Halloween. And for folks like myself and Chris, tomorrow starts Christmas season. So the trees go up tomorrow at 7 a.m. and it should be a good time. But because to a few of us, Halloween is just an obstacle to Christmas. We hope you had a good time tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Please do subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Make sure you check out some of our previous Ghost Watch videos. We've got the live streams. You can watch the whole live stream, and you also can then go back because we take a look at all this footage. Usually takes about a week or so. So look for a video on this next week, and we'll look and make sure we didn't miss anything and present it to you if we find some evidence otherwise. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Maynard, and for Norm, Chris, Steve, Matt, Sennett, John, Elizabeth, and myself, we thank you.